Katugende mu maaso abakulu mu maka g'obwa President balagidde abayizi bonna be baweerera mu masomero g'obwannannyini okugavaamu basabe ebifo mu masomero aga gavumenti. Abavunaanyizibwa ku mirimu mu maka g'obwa President abakulembeddwa Luce Nakyobe be bayisizza ekiragiro ekyo. Nakyobe ono ye abadde alabiseeko mu kakiiko ka Parliament akavunaanyizibwa ku nsonga za President.
Abayizi abasoba mu kanaana be bagambibwa nti babadde baganyulwa mu nteekateeka eno masomero g'obwannannyini wamu n'aga gavumenti. Ababadde basasulirwa mu masomero g'obwannannyini balagiddwa okugaamuka bafune ebifo mu masomero ga gavumenti. Avunaanyizibwa ku mirimu mu maka g'obwa President Lucy Nakyobe yategeeza abaka mu kakiiko ka Parliament akavunaanyizibwa ku nsonga za Pulezidenti.
Kwegamba nga kiraga nti first nga State House tulinga abatagoberera program za gavumenti. Kyetwaba tusalawo nti abaana bonna bave mu private schools badde mu government schools. Olw'ensonga emu nti private schools ezimu zisaba ssente nnyingi nnyo okusinziira ku government schools. Kati era ne tukitandikako guno mwaka tukitandiseeko tulese abaana abali mu myaka egisembayo egimaliriza katugeze nga P7.
Abaka baavaayo ne beemulugunya nti ssente z'omuwa omusolo obuwumbi 30 obuweebwa amaka g'obwa Pulezidenti okusasulira abayizi ziweebwa abayizi abeesobola mu kifo ky'abankuseere.
He has said he needed students in State House. That's why I'm interested in knowing their particular names. Then he will tell whether they are from the whole of Uganda or from some particular regions.
President Yoweri Museveni yamala n'alagira nti enteekateeka eno eyimirizibwe ssente ziteekebwe mu minisitule y'ebyenjigiriza mu nteekateeka empya ey'okwewola ssente.
Muzeeyi ekisooka alekeddeawo okwongerako abaana olw'ensonga nti ayagala ssente zino zibeere nga zisevingibwa zidde ku loan scheme, zidde mu Ministry Education zisobole okuyamba abaana abanabeera ku loan scheme. Abaana betubadde tuweera tukyeyongera nabo mu maaso paka nga bamaze, naye omanyi buli mwaka kubeerako abavaako, kubeerako abagraduatinga.
Wabula enteekateeka empya ey'abayizi okwewola ssente yaweebwa obuwumbi 5 bwokka. Jingo Francis, NTV, akawungezi.
Weewaawo poliisi e Masaka eriko abantu 7 beekutte bano nga bateeberezebwa okuba nga babadde batigomya ekitundu ekya Masaka, Greater Masaka nga bakola ebikola eby'ettima omuli okutemula abantu abakulu n'abaana abato mu bikola eby'ekirogo. Poliisi egamba nti abakwate bano basangibwa n'emmundu 3 ku ezo emmundu 4 poliisi zerudde ng'enoonya.
Poliisi Masaka eriko abamenyi b'amateeka 7 begombyemu obwala nga bano kigambibwa nti be bamu ku ababaze beenyigira mu butemu obuze bubaawo mu kitundu kino ekya Greater Masaka.
Sina n'omu gwe mmanyi na bano bennyini sibamanyi. Nabafuso y'obulunga n'emmotoka nakunana gwakubba
naki
nagwakutemu.
Abakwatiddwa kuliko Emmanuel Zinda, Simon Kiza Kalule, Ronald Tabibu, Martin Mwesigwa, Wile Serunjoji ne Kalema Sebuggwawo. Bano poliisi egamba nti okusinziira kunoonyereza kwayo abakwatiddwa bano bonna babadde beekuusa ku butemu buno obuze bubaawo mu kitundu kino ekya Masaka n'ebitundu ebyetoolodde.
All these people, the robbery which has been taking place in Kalungu, taking place in Rakai, petrol station which was robbed, coffee factory was robbed in Kalungu, and other robbery in other places, they know very well.
Okuva mwezi gw'omukaaga omwaka oguwedde abantu ab'enjawulo bazze battibwa mu bifo okuli Kalungu, Maria Flo Hotel, St. Jude Senior Secondary School, Zebra Hotel, ssaako n'omwana eyasaddaakibwa Rakai ng'ono balumiriza Zinda Emmanuel okuba nti alina ky'amanyiko. Mu mmundu 3 ezizuuliddwa poliisi etulazeeko emu ku ezo 4 ezikyanoonyezebwa ezaabuzibwawo ababbi bano. Bano bonna abakwatiddwa baakugulwako omusango gw'obutemu, obubbi, ssaako n'okusaddaaka omwana. Dini Lubowa Sava, NTV, akawungeze Masaka.
NTV akawungezi. Ku University Makerere mu Kampala omusajja ayitibwa Charles Mugisha ali mu kunnyonnyola baabuyinza ekibadde nga kimutanula nabba emmotoka. Ono akwatiddwa mu University munda ng'alina ebisumuluzo biyitibwa master key agezaako okukikitanya emmotoka etali ye. Katonda Mugisha amuvuddemu kubanga nnyini mmotoka gy'abadde agezaako okubba ate gwasabye amuyambeko okugyakisa. Mugisha bino agamba byakumulanga bwemagi bwe balanga enjobe mu kitoogo.
Twasanze omusajja ono ng'ali mu mmotoka y'omusajja ng'agibba era ekyo ekizibu kitusanze mu Makerere oteekawo emmoroka yo ng'ogipakinze n'ojja kujja n'osanga ng'omuyayi yagivuze ng'agitwala tebamenya ante bajja nga bali smart nnyo ng'obwola bw'ono omusajja so kati twakwataganye ne nannyini mmoroka n'agireplacing emipiira n'agiteekako engine era yamusanze mmoroka ng'avuga
simanyi kubanga oli ekifo webadde mmoroka bagamba nti n'emmoroka ye bagibbira kati wansanzewo n'alowooza nti mbadde nziba mmotoka ate nga ndi kuyange nyina omuwala gwe mbadde nnoonya
bangi era abamu abadde aboogerako wano tumuwandiza ova ku bapoliisi abamanyi kubanoonyerezako bulungi tujja kubifuna twamuguddeko omusango gw'okubba mmoroka era aba investigations abana abanoonyereza bakyakola ku musango
mu byemizannyo olwaleero mu nteekateeka z'ekikopo ekyensi yonna oba World Cup tugenda kulaba ekibinja B omuli Spain abalina ekikopo kino weewaawo nga batunuulizibwa omupiira balowooza Spain eno eyinza obutaba y'amaanyi nnyo wadde erina abazannyi ab'amannya era abakugu nga Jesus Navas, David Silva ne Xavi.
Spain yatunuliddwa nnyo mu kibinja B omuli Holland, Chile ne Australia. Omutendesi waayo Vincent Del Bosque ng'omuzannyi gwe basinga okusibirako olukoba ye Andreas Iniesta. Kirowoozebwa nti Spain eyinza okuba omutendera gw'ekibinja kyokka eyinza obutagenda wala kubanga ttiimu y'eggwanga lino tekyali y'amaanyi nga bwe gwali mu 2010 we yatwalira ekikopo ky'ensi yonna. Roberto Soldado, Alvaro Negredo, Jesus Navas ne Michu be bamu ku bazannyi ab'omutawaana mu Spain. Yo Chile etendekebwa George Sampaoli era musajja we gwesinga okwesiga ye Alex Sanchez wa Barcelona. Abala kuliko Claudio Bravo, Pablo Contreras ne George Valdivia. Holland etendekebwa Louis van Gaal era Robin Persie wa Manchester United ye musajja waabwe kubasibidde olukoba. Mu 1974 mu 1982 Holland yakola bulungi mu kikopo ky'ensi yonna. Australia etendekebwa Ange nayo yesiba bbiri. Ekinene Australia kyayinza okukola mu mpaka zino kuva mu kibinja n'egenda ku mutendera ogwokubiri oba second round.
Mu byemizannyo ebirala ab'akakiiko ka FUFA akafuga enzirukanya ya liigi basazeewo nti omupiira gwa Express ne Sowana FC ogwayiika gye buvuddeko awo olw'abawagizi okuyingira mu kisaawe ne bakola effujjo gwakuddibwamu naye nga gwakusambibwa okumala eddakiika emu yokka yali esigaddeyo ku olwo lwe gwayiika. Omupiira guno okuyiika buli ludda lwalina eggoolo emu era eddakiika emu bw'eneggwako nga tewali ateebye eggoolo ndala bajja kugenda mu penalty.
Tusalawo ti omupiira guno gugenda kuddibwamu osambibwa naye eddakiika emu eyasigalayo yegenda okusambibwa era twasazeewo ti guno ogunaddibwamu eddakiika emu ejjukira gwali emu ogunabaawo gukyali mu draw bajja kgenda mu bunnya naye nga ekisaawe banaasambya temugenda kubeera muwagizi yadde n'omu okugjako ttiimu ne ba official baayo ne ba kooki kozi ab'amawulire tuyinza obbakkiriza okugendayo okukavalinga ebinaaba bivudde mu mupiira.
NTV, turning on your world.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna otereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
Program Guide. today's highlight with
New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
It's here, ladies and gentlemen, here and it's showtime. That's what we're here for, to be honest.
Great knee there by Cosmo, I mean.
Stop! No holds.
To fight someone like Cosmo, you've got to try and avoid his knees, but it's very hard to because of the speed and how light he is on his feet.
Yeah, he's going to look for the left hook, isn't he? Holskin. He's really pushing him back, and that's a way to beat him, isn't it?
My mum always wants what's best for us. That's why she uses new geisha with extracts from nature. New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shopping. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
Watching Morning at NTV.
To those that grew up in the era of writing love letters, at the end of the letter you would write, last night while making love to you, I saw the sun, the moon, the mountains and the rivers. I'll not complete for the sake of being sued for copyright. But welcome to the show that is surely the hottest ticket in town from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Morning at NTV. Power-packed show, awesome for the family and friends, but also for your boss. Mabel Kebirunji, Joel Senyonyi, Simon Keseate, and me, Brian, and of course later Isma, to tell us exactly how Manchester United rose up and may actually win the Champions League. That and more coming up on today's International Happy Day. Yes, today you are obliged and obligated to make sure that you are happy. Let's get started with the question of the day. Good morning. Today's question should be pretty easy. In which district is the NTV's district edition going to be this weekend? The first 5 respondents will each walk out something from Morning at NTV. So get texting to 6565. You can also Facebook it or tweet it at Morning at NTV. Alternatively, you can stream online, youtube.com/NTV Uganda live. And my friend, you'll catch us on your internet. If you have bundles, like some people in the US of A streaming right now live, it's about maybe 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they're catching this show live. We still have the sun and the moon, ladies and gentlemen. Where such things exist, surely you know that your morning is going to be fantastic. Let's link over to Mabel at the NTV studios with the stories that are making headlines. Good morning, Mabel.
Good morning, Brian. We do not have mountains and rivers, but it is a happy day. So I am glad you're watching us this Thursday morning. Thank you for joining us wherever you're from. Be happy, and we're here to make you happy. Let us look at some of the stories making headlines. ISO asks for the supplementary budget of 9.8 billion. All media houses are required to allocate on free air to government programs. And refugees in Kiriandongo face a security threat over a land allocation.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The Internal Security Organization is asking for a supplementary budget of 9.8 billion shillings as the country continues to face terrorist threats from Al-Shabaab insurgents. Officials from the Office of the President, under which ISO falls, told MPs on the Presidential Affairs Committee that their capacity to carry out overt and covert intelligence gathering could be compromised. As Agnes Nandutu reports, MPs are imploring the Treasury to release the funds.
Internal Security Organization ISO is mandated to do intelligence gathering within the country's internal boundaries to be able to nip in the bad insecurity. But the country's security could be put in a fragile position after it emerged that the security agency under the supervision of Brigadier Ronnie Balia has a shortfall of 9.8 billion shillings. ISO, which is under the Office of the President docket, is now asking for a supplementary budget of 9.8 billion shillings to be able to execute its work.
ISO has said that they have no money. Their money is over. Are we really safe as Ugandans? Because these are not joking matters. There has to be full-time surveillance. 4 years ago, the ISO asked money and Parliament was moving left, right and center. And immediately after that, Kasubi Tomb was touched.
We have done what it takes. We did write to the Minister of Finance asking for supplementary for them to be able to continue with the operations.
The Secretary in the Office of the President, Deborah Katramo, told MPs that Finance is reluctant to give them more money.
They didn't accept. They didn't, respond to us. But we did. We made an effort to apply for about 9.2 billion.
These officials from the Office of the President were today appearing before the House Committee on Presidential Affairs. This comes at the time the spectre of terrorism continues to hang over the future of the country as Al-Shabaab insurgents seek to establish homegrown cells in East Africa. However, MPs fear that without funds to do intelligence gathering, the country's security could be compromised.
So if we don't give ISO the money they want, you are going to start seeing funny things happening. And then we shall hurriedly pass the budget. So can we be told, as Ugandans, are we safe when ISO has zero budget?
In order to make the operation more effective and efficient after the end, or after the new financial year, they need additional funding because of the current threat of terrorists, which has already taken place. The area of operation have expanded, and therefore it requires to deploy more personnel and more equipment. That means more inputs.
ISO received 7.2 billion shillings this financial year, which has already been spent. ISO also needs another 21 billion shillings to pay outstanding gratuity and leave areas. Agnes Nandutu, NTV, Parliament.
From mid this April, all media houses will be required to allocate 1 free hour to government to publicize its programs. Speaking to NTV, the publicist in the Office of the Prime Minister, Moses Watasa, said that government has struck a compromise between broadcasters and regulators, promising to comply with the new condition. However, Dr. Peter Mwesige, the head of the African Center of Media Excellence, says this could infringe on media freedom.
Number 5 of the condition by the Uganda Communications Commission states that the licensee shall from time to time allocate time to promote government programs. However, some of the broadcasters argue that they have been offering more than the 1 hour that the government is demanding for, while some of the media experts also say that government is overstepping its mandate.
For the editorial airtime,
then you set the agenda, because you determine the topics and you invite us. You could, by the way, invite us alongside other people and we debate. But for this 1 hour, it is supposed to be for government to educate people about its various programs.
How many government websites are up to date? How many people have stopped the government from updating their own websites, for instance? How many people go out there looking for information about what's going on in government circles and they can't find it because that information isn't there? Instead of using opportunities that they have before them, they're instead trying to grab more before they can even utilize the little that they have. I just think this is actually greed. It is farcical. It's unacceptable.
The following are some of the guidelines on the provision of free broadcast airtime. The allocated free airtime should be during prime-time broadcast hours when listenership is high, which is 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. The stations will be required to promote the designated programs in terms of jingles, presenter mentions 3 days before the day. Responsible government officials who won't turn up for the program will be penalized for negligence of duty. The line ministries and departments will arrange appropriate, well-informed political leaders and relevant officials to feature in the programs. For radio, the first 40 minutes of prime time should be allocated to government officials by program moderators and the last 20 minutes for feedback. While on television, feedback should be allocated 30 minutes.
We think that for a start, surely that's not asking for too much.
Since the liberalization of airwaves in 1991, Uganda Communications Commission has since licensed over 200 radio stations and about 40 television stations. However, the government has a major stake in the national broadcaster Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, which covers the entire country. Most of the programs aired on the national broadcaster are largely skewed towards government. I asked Watasa why government does not utilize the airtime on UBC so that it can leave the unfettered private media to thrive.
You find that listenership is actually fragmented, which is why we are saying we want to use as many platforms as much as possible, including the national broadcaster.
But if you're going to give them 45 minutes to come and talk about non-existent service delivery and all that, I don't know that is going to serve really ultimately their own interests. In any case, how sure are they that the public is going to be listening to them?
Some commentators fear that these new guidelines are employed by the government to use private media to rally support for the regime ahead of the 2016 polls.
No, there's nothing like that.
According to the sources in government, the president is expected to put the new stringent guidelines in motion by appearing on a private media of his choice to speak to the audiences.
TV, turning on your world.
Sudil Biaruhanga, NTV.
Indeed, I wonder what that means for us here at NTV. Well, moving on, a row pitting Mulago National Referral Hospital and the National Water and Sewerage Corporation has emerged after water supply was temporarily cut at the institute. The hospital allegedly owes an astronomical 6.5 billion shillings to National Water and Sewage Corporation. But authorities at the hospital claim that as a result of a number of illegal connections, most of the water is used by those dwelling in the neighborhood.
For a national referral hospital like Mulago to go without water for a day, it could spell doom, especially for patients who are in critical condition. Only yesterday, National Water and Sewage Corporation disconnected water to a number of departments at the hospital, bringing activities to a shuddering halt. The corporation claims the hospital owes it 6.5 billion shillings.
We give Mulago Hospital a bill every month. So it's not just that we have just realized that this is happening.
However, Mulago Hospital spokesperson Enoch Kasasira says the astronomical bill is as a result of community in the neighborhood through illegal connections.
We even have the neighboring villages that still use the water of Mulago, and we are billed. We asked National Water, why don't you help us, first of all, to disconnect those people?
It is certainly surprising that now Mulago realizes now that they have many other properties, but by law we deal with the landlord. And Mulago, as our landlord, we deal with Mulago as the landlord.
In a meeting which was called between the two parties, it was agreed that water is reconnected to the key departments.
We have turned off most of the other administrative premises of Mulago and offices, but we have still left water flowing within the central hospital.
There was real disconnection. The real English word, disconnected. It was just standing in our face. But still, there was still some water in our tanks running.
But the corporation is accusing Mulago of perennially failing to clear its water bills.
Literally, we have been in Mulago literally every day. Every day. Every morning, we are in Mulago. Every afternoon, we are in Mulago. Some of our staff is like they are now working in Mulago itself.
Mulago Hospital is now appealing to the treasurer to give it a supplementary budget to clear its debt. Maurice Ocholo, NTV.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll hear the end of supplementary budgets. But anyway, moving on, refugees in Kiriandongo face a security threat as they squabble over land allocation. There is fear that violence could break out again amongst refugees if government does not address the criteria for parceling out land.
This is part of the Kiriandongo refugee settlement camp, currently housing over 20,000 South Sudanese refugees, now threatening to shatter the calmness. As they settle in, each refugee family is allocated a piece of land measuring 50 by 100 feet to start self-support through cultivation. However, the system of distributing plots could fuel a clash between those who have been here for a while and the new refugees trickling in.
As we'll call the Sudanese who are here left, repatriated back home, the few who remained started to use the land, big chunks of land. So as we get new refugees, we are trying to reduce the size of the lands they have, which they were using because there was no need at that time. So that may create some small tensions, but we are definitely dealing with it.
The situation is also dire in the camps as refugees seek for services in health and education. This primary school in the camp can only accommodate 500 pupils, but due to the high number of refugees, the population has risen to over 1,000. With no benches in the classrooms, learners sit on the floor.
When children sit down, even writing itself is a problem. The child will not write uprightly, so it will affect the child's learning. So there's need for desks, the urgent need for desks, classrooms and teachers.
With about 600 new arrivals registered every day at this camp, there are fears that the health conditions might deteriorate if the number of health workers is not increased and more drugs procured.
In a phase where we are dealing with life-saving situations, where we had to provide water, food and medicine. And as we've been here 3 months now, we are going into a phase where we have to address issues of education and livelihoods.
Now government through the Refugee Department in the office of the Prime Minister is calling on all donor agencies to come to the rescue of these refugees. Kiriandongo Refugee Reception Camp was set up in 1992 at the peak of the LRA insurgency with a capacity of 2,000, but the numbers are close to 20,000.
And that's all we had for you on today's morning edition of the news. And on to some of your Facebook messages that I can see. Someone, Papa Justin, is saying Al-Shabaab are back. The cyber crime is in motion. I think let's not take the situation at hand. Today, we need funds from government after the corrupt have after they've corrupted everything. Thank you, Papa Justin, for that. We can take a look at some more of your messages. And we have Bukenya Dixon saying, thank you for the program. Big up, guys. And this Facebook screen seems to be playing some tricks on me this morning. But we have over 10,000 likes. Thank you for liking our page. If you have not liked our page yet, please go like our page. You get to see lots of pictures of us behind the scenes. Abdul Kadir says, morning at NTV. How do you kill it to be the #1 television? Well, thank you for that. And Cyrus says, is answering the question of the day. We also have Bruno Santos who says, thanks for the great show, but I wish you people could also... Okay, I think this this thing is still sleeping. We now return to the Serena Hotel for rooftop for the press review.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Thursday, sunny morning, the 20th day of March 2014. This morning at NTV's press review with myself, Simon Kasiati, Joel Mulondo, and that's Brian Senyu.
Are you all right? Are you kidding me? Joel Mulondo? It is like be a nice name.
Well, that is now to take whether my usual suspects are awake and listening to every single word I say. Good morning, Joel.
How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah, be a nice name. Brian Senyu is my name. Welcome to the show.
Well, we are looking at the happenings in the Daily Monitor this morning, as well as the red paper, which is always the favorite of Brian. Brian, let's roll with the red paper. Let's start from there.
I have an affinity for that paper. A couple of stories that are awesome. I will reveal those later. But the headline on the red paper is explosive. Museveni pins Mbabazi with new evidence of a plot to grab power, and the president is consulting experts about the implications of firing Mbabazi.
While all this is going on in the red paper as the deepening, or should I say the worsening of relations between Prime Minister and NRM Secretary General with President Yoweri Museveni politically, in the Daily Monitor this morning, an interesting look at Mbabazi's other side, his love and commitment to family. It's in the Heart to Heart magazine this morning. Well, you will not
40
get
years
enough.
of marriage.
40 years of marriage and counting, and this is what he says. Fidelity, or should I say faithfulness, is the best reward that Mbabazi could ever give his wife, Jacqueline. Now that's telling that for a man who keeps one wife for 40 years, who's very committed to this one wife, and continues to even look after their grandchildren as a loving grandpa, perhaps he's trying to make a statement that he would love equally this country and serve you as diligently as he's done with his family. Maybe, who knows? Otherwise, one would wonder why would Mbabazi be appearing in Heart to Heart magazine this morning.
I'll tell you, and this is a plus for him. Many people that do not like him, they respect him for the fact that he is a family man, stuck to one wife, at least as far as we know.
And you know, with Ugandan politicians and scandals related to women, I mean, I know a firebrand member of parliament, even now labeled rebel and all that, but around him there is always talk about
you're
different
giving
women.
him away,
I mean, it's known. I mean, let's not miss our words. I speak it plainly and clearly. It's in my DNA. But with Mbabazi, there is something about him that you would never place him on matters of infidelity anywhere, which is a hallmark of
That's a
most
very good
politicians in
plus.
this country.
You find it hard to fault him in that area. The other day I met a guy who has 2 wives. I said to him, boss, what is wrong with you? He told me, see, Joel, when you have one wife, she fights with you. When you have 2 wives, they fight for you. And
When you have 3, they fight amongst themselves.
there you go. As if that was supposed to be a plus for him. But anyhow,
Well,
that is kudos for
from
Mbabazi.
where I sit as a communications person, this is a master stroke of PR genius.
I know.
And Mbabazi,
Also, you think he's just doing it for purposes of PR? 40
tell
years
you.
is too long a while to do PR just for.
But also, it's not just for we're talking about Mbabazi here and we're talking about 2016. So clearly, the next thing we'll see him featuring.
Years, if he had begun doing it 5 years ago, you would think he's starting.
Maybe Jacqueline will feature in
Let's cut the man
African
some
Woman
slack,
magazine.
yeah?
They should.
There's many things that I don't
They
exactly
should.
like
She carries
about him,
herself
but this
around as a
one-
model of some kind of sanctified woman with regard to morals. But let's
She
look
carries
at
herself like first lady material. You're trying
Well,
to say it's okay.
She is. Talking
Talking
about first lady material, there is a front page picture in the Daily Monitor. A lady I haven't seen in a long time on the streets of Kampala. Winnie Byanyima, wife to opposition activist activist now and former president of the Forum for Democratic Change, Dr. Kizza Besigye. She's in town, and let's not forget that she is the top dog at Oxfam, which is arguably the world's biggest non-governmental organization. And she is calm, composed, and either she's matured or she was simply distressed or disgusted by the sight of policemen who pulled her car over as soon as she drove out of her home in Kasangati yesterday. Let's not forget that there were skirmishes in this city yesterday, and poor Winnie is one of those that face the brunt of what normally happens around Kasangati while she's away in the United Kingdom and the US where she plies her trade. But suffice to mention, Lukwago, the Lord Mayor of Kampala, was arrested yesterday, and Dr. Kizza Besigye was kept at home all yesterday. Why? The police has outrode any form of rallies that they have planned to carry out in this city in a bid to nip in the bud the planned by-election for Kampala's mayor.
You know, the other day we were talking about, it was in the papers and all over the place. You know, MPs are saying we don't have money for elections, so we need to put them on hold, extend our term of office up to 2021, which I think is absolute poppycock. But you see, when we see the harsh manner in which they are trying to get this election out of the way, yet court is saying, okay, let's first deal with this and that kind of thing. You're thinking, this is not right. Yeah, we need to be straight the way we do things so that hypocrisy is not seen as the underlying factor.
But, I mean, you know, from a devil's advocate point of view, we have an electoral commission that is extremely, you know, they hit the ground running. They do not wait for a lot, you know, like I always say, I mean, they are very... Exactly, they are proactive. I mean, you do not want... I mean, previously, they are proactive. Previously, they were prepared for an election just months before. Now, they are preparing for elections even before vacancies are declared null and void. That is a masterstroke of being proactive.
So I should give them some credit.
I mean, why don't you guys like proactive people? The other day, you were lambasting Fajil Mande for being too proactive for the kind of position that he holds. Come on,
not myself. Maybe we should ask the Lord Mayor one of these days, because also...
Which Lord Mayor? The last
I mean, okay. Maybe the title is like Katanyenje. It has stuck there. But we should host Mr. Elias Lukwago to explain, because also some people are not happy.
Unless, of course, you are saying that just like we are able to broadcast from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel, then we may have to broadcast from
his home,
from Wakaliga Road, because I don't think the Lord Mayor would make it here. Clearly, you know what happens. His movements are heavily curtailed, and so I do not want to rely on a guest whose appearance lies on a balance of 30 to 70.
I know on his way here, he may pass by second, just wave those things, and that's so you see, Simon, I have been in flagrantly delictly arrested.
The picture of the day in the Daily Monitor, we are seeing an unfortunate incident in one of the bus terminals in Kampala as a bus goes up in flames belonging to Kalita. And guess what? The security guards manning this bus terminal are brandishing guns at journalists who had come to pry and take photographs. Now, there's something interesting with regard to security agencies in this country. This overzealousness and perhaps maybe being like the Electoral Commission, being proactive. I mean, the police does that many times. They will arrest you by the mere thought that you're about to commit a crime. It's trickling down to even these security guards who barely have enough training to write someone's surname. And I see it playing out in many places. You may say, perhaps, I mean, look, there's a G4S security, which is supposed to be an international security group. Look at the kind of conduct it is. So supposing the bullet went off, I thought gun control in this country must take root. You don't have these crazy people wearing security uniforms, brandishing guns, and what is the crime of a journalist taking a picture?
I know this morning you came spitting fire about security guards.
Absolutely. Here at the Serena Hotel, where you have a bunch of marauding KK security people who have perhaps...
But when they don't take you, you complain.
No,
what do you want?
No, listen, what I don't understand is we would rather put their machines or dogs, which do not have the benefit of hindsight like human beings. When a human being begins to act like a dog or begins to act like a machine...
By saying, stop and I check you, sir, and you say,
you try to reason with them, and they start saying, you know, it is order from above.
Anyway. Let them implement the order from above.
I understand, but
they probably had that statement from
elsewhere. Do you see this mobile phone here?
Yes.
This mobile phone is such a machine that if I accidentally press this button while it is in my jacket, it will go ahead and just execute the command, because it doesn't think. For it, a button pressed, it means that is a command. It doesn't have the benefit of hindsight and thought. But human beings have a brain which weighs pros and cons, which reason. That's the reason why we are human beings. And
how about you call it non-compromise on security matters? He does not.
You know, when it favors us,
follow the rules, or you know,
when it doesn't favor us,
it's not about. It's not about favoring us. It's about reaching a compromise. Many times we do things that we possibly would never have done because there is an issue called compromise, and that is a hallmark of humanity, that you have a brain to think. But when you have human beings conditioned like machines, this is the kind of stuff that we are getting into this country. And the reason why there is a story in the Monitor here saying there is alarm. I wonder who is making the alarm. As government spy masters run broke. Now they are looking at hundreds of spy. We are talking about GSOs, DSOs, PSOs, all these parish internal security organization officials, Gombora security organization, whatever. All of whom are now going broke because the Ministry of Finance has not released some 9.8 billion Ugandan shillings earmarked.
Could it also be that their work is a lot more? There is now many more of you that need to be spied on, especially since we are headed to 2016, and many of the clandestine work that some of you do. Even journalists, I'm told, you are about to be spied on. You seem to be supporting the likes of Amama Mbabazi, at least according to some papers that we read here every once in a while.
Which is okay for anyone to be spied on. You see, now, starting with my other complaint about security.
No, the point I'm just making is, it's just that there is
do your spy work, but use your brain. Come on, don't be conditioned like a machine, and that's why I have a problem. And then we have this country full of, we have more small little outfits, security outfits, and this is the time bomb yet to explode in this country. Every little street corner you go to, there is some security outfit, some guy who has put together some bunch of big-chested, ill-educated young men from destitute backgrounds.
And for you have a small chest, you're feeling bad.
And listen, and gives them guns. Now, a guy who has not had much of an education, he's given an weapon of destruction, looks at you. I mean, I find it a travesty. Believe me, sorry, I am really harsh on these security guards.
Yeah, because you had a debacle of sorts this morning, so we understand.
I look back at the time I did sacrifice the little I had, even what that I did not have, to distinguish myself in society. And then you come and you're met by a guy who barely knows how to spell his surname, and he's trying to run roughshod over you. I think
he's trying to do his job, but he should let you do his job.
You know, I've always thought
those that come before them.
But also, we must say that the educated, the elite, they share the same view like Kasiat, and will take it to the guy and give him the same attitude. A guy like that who has left his home with barely I think they call it a Zaka Meza, is frustrated.
And he is gallivanting around.
He has probably never fired any shots since his training, and he will definitely get that gun and use it.
The truth is, many times you give them a hard time. I know some of them really act out of order, that is for sure, but many times, especially we corporates,
the majority
we are on a high horse, cloud 9, and we think we have arrived.
But listen,
and you're giving them a
Joel, let's not
can I check if I'm late for the show. And
Joel, let's not be populist here.
No, not at all.
Listen, let me put it this way, and you can blame me for sounding vain, and the risk of sounding vain. I have, you know what people have gone through blast furnaces to be what they are. People have gone through blast furnaces to be who they are. I am not apologetic. Listen, I am not apologetic to a guy for his unfortunate situation because I'm better off than he.
That's not the point.
To hell with him. I mean, he could as well have done what I have done.
Anyway, we pray that never gets said of you, but the point you're making is not about he's not as well off as you are. The point is allow him to do his job.
How are you going to let him do his job?
I am not.
How are you going to let him do his job?
Okay, we need to move on here because
I'm simply making an appeal.
This one.
Let people use their brains in whatever they do. Every day
that includes we corporates.
Absolutely, and I'm saying especially that we have them. The problem is you have people who have no brains and they're given a task to use brains. Anyway, Makerere University to breed earthworms is a story coming out on page 3 of the Daily Monitor. Hate me or love me, I'm not yet looking for love. I always tell people that. And yes, in Nakaseke, an unfortunate situation with regard to the healthcare system, they are an ultrasound and x-ray machine in a hospital in Nakaseke. These have broken down for the last 4 months. They need only a paltry 10 million Ugandan shillings to repair these machines, but no one is able to get services to these people of Nakaseke. And at the end of the day, Ugandans are asked, love your country, be patriotic.
Our priorities are warped, and that's what is bothering many people. Even as you tell them to be patriotic, they're thinking, wait a minute. And I know Morrison Rakakamba will be talking about this with you in the big story. Be patriotic. But you see, ultimately, what do Ugandans need right about now? You know, for example, one of the elements of patriotism is military drills. And I'll tell you, this is going to work against government, for sure. Because you see, if you're having 80% of youth unemployed, what they need is jobs. If you're giving them military skills, tomorrow there's going to be an uprising against you. And they'll put these military skills to use. So what do people need? They need healthcare, they need better roads, they need, not I'm told there's going to be 3.5 billion shillings spent on this whole patriotism thing. I think that is just, sounds evil.
Let's pick some 10 million of that and repair these machines at this Nakaseke outfit before they become obsolete. Well, remember
that sounds patriotic.
Nathan Nandala Mafabi, former leader of opposition and also member of parliament representing a constituency in Sironko district, has been voted once again at the helm of the Busoga Cooperative Union. This has, of course, been something in the works for a very long time, as government is accused of underhand interference in what remains to be the only standing cooperative union that's surviving in this country.
And we need to reinvigorate cooperatives. Well, of course, there's people that will tell you, it's not in government's interest because the people will be empowered. Government doesn't want people to be too empowered. And you see a bit of sense in that school of thought. But you see, if you want your people to be well off as a leader, and the other day somebody was telling me, you see, this country, instead of leaders, we have dealers, which is very unfortunate. That's why our country is the way it is. We need to have more leaders other than politicians. I told you that the politicians are more concerned about the next election. Leaders are more concerned about the next generation.
Let's use that analogy of yours and describe Nathan Nandala Mafabi. Who is he? A leader, a dealer?
No, the point I was making is because of the way government was seen to stifle Bugisu Cooperative Union, threw him out of place, and so on. And now eventually they realized, we just wasted time. Let's put the man back to work. So
that said, is he a dealer or a leader?
I think he's a leader.
I'm asking Joel.
You're asking me. The leader, I know, I've seen him do some good work within PAC. As leader of opposition, of course, he stepped on a number of toes. People thought, well, he is a good activist. He's not a very good manager. But that's
A, is he a dealer? B, is he a leader?
I don't know.
Neither of the above, both of the above.
I had a chance to go to Mbale and do a feature on BCU and talk to the locals, people who participated in the BCU before Nandala came and when he was there. And they clearly tell you, Nandala, they don't know how he did it, but somehow they got profit returns.
They did.
Farmers
getting their profit.
Farmers always got their returns. They educated their kids. BCU built more schools. BCU set up medical facilities. So they are saying, for government to sabotage all that because of politics, they are kind of they are forgetting the bigger picture. More people's lives are changed in Bale because of BCU, and
after he was thrown off, I'm told it plummeted.
If you were talking about a person from a different political divide, especially those who were yellow, there would be a lot of uproar on social media. You being accused of having been given some kitu kidogo. You know how Ugandan psyche is. When you argue convincingly about something, then you are told that you have been bribed.
Now I have evidence for this.
Well, even the absence of evidence does not spare you from attacks on social media. If you're moving around this country deliberately and intentionally infecting people that come across you with the deadly HIV virus, that's the HIV that causes AIDS, you are out for a big shock. As members of parliament back this controversial bill that criminalizes intentional spread of HIV and AIDS. This is talking about people who know their status but go ahead and use resources available to them to deliberately and intentionally infect others.
One of the biggest issues that civil society organizations involved in the fight against HIV are concerned about is that people are now going to fear to actually go and check, because you see, one of the issues raised in this bill is for you to be guilty of that, you should have known your status. So people are going to not test because if I test and I know my status, then I can actually be implicated for intentional spread. So they will do whatever they need to do, but not go for testing, and we don't want that.
Well, just the other day we hosted Richard Wodong, the minister without portfolio, who has taken up some duties of the NRA Secretary General. And in Next Magazine this morning in the Daily Monitor, what you missed out to find out about this man on this show, get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and you get to read more about him, as he's featured here as the young man in the limelight today.
Can I talk about some?
Why not? Why not? Come on, talk about them.
Yeah, this is one of people say one of the most beautiful celebs here.
Which one?
Zari. I said one of the most.
They didn't get my
sorry, we don't want to pour cold water on you, but I don't think we are going to use prime
Zari is at
talk
it
about
again. I requested no permission.
We do not know what you're going to talk about, Brian.
I said she's beautiful.
Listen, this lady has a certain, TV stations have a certain general of people who they have to talk about. There are people who are below the standard of NTV, and I'm sorry, we're not going to
what do you do when your best friend seduces your lover?
Hey,
That's a focus.
Pull out the security guard's gun or something.
Do you use that guy?
Well,
now
my car magazine is in the Daily Monitor this morning. You, the man who love your toys, get to know what's happening with your car when you get yourself an insight into this wonderful car magazine pull out. In the sports section, as we close down this
Manchester United doing something awesome yesterday. I always believe that in Europe, Manchester is a beast. Yeah, they bring so much experience, and so they won 3-0.
Finally, you concede.
No, I've always conceded. I've always thought Manchester United is
not a bad loser.
Isn't this the part where you remove your jacket in some kind of admiration and respect?
Manchester United,
if you have to.
Well, at this point, the post player is on the verge of removing more than just the jacket, and I would want to spare you the gory
The fitness show ended already, so
I would want to spare you the gory physique of Joe and Brian here on NTV's press review this morning. That's it. We cap it with the press review this morning. Let's get into the big story where we are discussing, you guessed, patriotism. To what extent do you love your country, and to what extent should the state force you or cajole you or twist you or beg you or do all sorts of things to make you patriotic? We'll be right back.
Everybody empowerment as long as they can wake up and vote for the NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired the President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fiscal code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only 2 individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
People, 50 days, one task.
An incredible journey of 10,000 kilometers to deliver a taste of home to Humphrey Kayange in London.
A journey you can be part of.
We're looking for 25 people to say Twende Kazi and join the Tusker 25 on this mission.
Join me.
Join me.
Join me. Join me.
Join me. Join us and be a part of Africa's most epic TV show. Twende Kazi. Twende Kazi, yeah.
On your breath.
Because I've been drinking.
Ekifo ekimu kisawa musu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli Lwakuna butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
Bana NTV ate naddala mu bannaamu muli gw'emizannyo gw'ebyemizannyo gukomyewo 2014 ate mutya kati ate gukyusiza n'obudde gwa 7 gwali gwa 9 ne mugoberera ntusanyuka kati gulongereddeko wano malya g'ebyemisana awo esho tugubatayize bugalitiri kintu kyonna kalonda ino byemizannyo omuligo ebyemizannyo mupya 2014 isima waali alagira Argentina ndio mukubire eddiba lye omukwano kujja kukoma ono ku muligo emizannyo naye kasita kinatuuka eri bano ba Messi okulumba abalenzi bafu ga Thiago Silva awo tewali mukwano omuligo ebyemizannyo 2014 president.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Reminding you that today is International Happy Day. So we hope you are happy wherever you are. We now return to Simon for the big story at the rooftop.
The big story this morning, dear Ugandans, there is a bill. This bill is to make you, compel you, or even beg you to love your country in more ways than one. This bill, if enacted, would ensure that you show patriotism by defending the country's assets and confronting its enemies, such as corruption. Experts have argued that symbols of state power, such as security installations, should be overhauled as a way of boosting patriotism. Why? Because these are some of the elements of the state that make us less patriotic. Presidency Minister Frank Tumwebazi says, however, that the Constitution demands Ugandans to be patriotic, and there was need for a law to clearly define this obligation. And therefore, to quote him, he says, if this bill is enacted into law, it will be mandatory for everyone to embrace development programs which are introduced by government. Failure to do so will lead to imprisonment or a fine. There we have it. It's not going to come easy. You must love your country. If not, there are disastrous repercussions. But do we need to be compelled to love our country? Do we need to be arm-twisted to love our country? Question is, shouldn't love be reciprocal? If you love your country, to what extent does your country love you back? To discuss all these questions and many more, I have with me the Special Presidential Assistant on Research and Information, as well as the Chief Executive Officer, Agency for Transformation, Mr. Morrison Wakakamba, a very good friend of mine. Good morning, and I love your red tie this morning, and as usual, slim-fitting jackets and immaculately white tie. White shirt.
Thank you, Simon. How are you?
I'm very fine.
Yeah.
To what extent are you patriotic?
I'm extremely patriotic.
Why? What shows?
Because I put my nation above self.
Yeah, because yourself is paid by your nation. You work for the president, you are a special assistant to the president, you have all these perks to yourself, the president knows you by name, you're feeding off the state. Why wouldn't you love your, why wouldn't you be patriotic? Why wouldn't you love the state?
There was a cartel of choices. I could have decided to go and teach in Ruahura Primary School, you see, and enjoy life at my farm.
Yeah, but that was not going to give you as much as you're earning now, so you made a conscious...
No, I actually earn more. I actually earn more from the coffee farm than what I earn from government. So at the end of the day,
you put in a lot and earn more. But in government, you put in perhaps nothing and then
let's not really personalize this. Putting the nation above self. That I wake up every morning to come here and join you and discuss issues of national importance is also something very patriotic.
On that one, I give you a plus, because we invite even more deserving government officials. I have invited the Minister of Information and National Guidance, for example, to be here, and for most of the time she has snubbed us. She chooses to come when she feels like, not when we feel like we want her.
Perhaps the invitations arrived late.
You may wish to share with us at what time you guys came and how come you made it here.
Well, for me it was, is it DHL? It was very quick.
Ugandans are concerned, Morrison, that you have a country, or you have a government superintending over a country, which government doesn't provide them the basic social service amenities, health, education, security, worth talking about. And here you have the same government demanding of citizens to love their country. That's not even bad enough that you are even legislating about someone's love. It's more like your father putting up a little bylaw in your home that you must love him. Yet, on the other hand, he's the kind of father that spends most of his time at the village trading center drinking and not fending for his family. Isn't that a travesty of relations?
No. I think there is a need for context. And that context is really that as a people, you know, and how we are decked in the constitution of this republic, there is a clear mandate that Ugandans are obligated. They have got an obligation to love their country and act so. And quite often, Simon, we all know that in the public life and in the private life, you have got very many Ugandans who are acting in unpatriotic ways. For example,
yes,
you have got cartel of corruption tendencies across the board. Let me make this point very clear.
The poster child of corruption is not an ordinary Ugandan who watches on their TV, but it is that government official who is channeling money meant for basic health facilities to their own personal use.
Let me tell you, I have told you it is across the board. If you're supposed to do a public road and you do show the work, are you patriotic?
You're not
patriotic.
Absolutely
not
now,
patriotic.
When you are discovered, Morrison, for failure to do a patriotic job as a government official, why then does your employer keep you there?
No. I need to tell you this, that this is across the board. If you are a farmer, okay, and you're selling milk and you put in water, you are not patriotic. If you go to a petrol station, Simon Kasiate, and you pay 50,000 and somebody gives you fuel of 30,000, that is really unpatriotic. So I am telling you that these tendencies are across the board. And as a people,
aren't we using a wrong word? Shouldn't we say we should be honest?
That's the point. But you see, when you're patriotic, when you love your country, when you love your people across the country, then you act so. You don't act irresponsibly.
No, you see, acting responsibly doesn't mean that you must be within the geographical confinement of Uganda to show patriotism.
And by the way,
I have seen reports of some Ugandan people who go and fleece others in other countries.
I am telling you, that
claiming to be patriotic.
What is wrong with being patriotic? What is wrong with loving your country? Why should we even be having this debate?
Absolutely. And why should you as a country spend 3.6 billion plus to cajole Ugandans to loving their country? Why should an entire parliament spend man-hours deliberating and legislating on a law that will criminalize the failure for someone to love? I thought love should come naturally.
Let me tell you, Nelson Mandela taught us, you see, during this the apartheid system which was in South Africa, he said, if you can learn to hate, then certainly you can learn to love. You see, so it is important that people, especially young people, are taught how to love their country. This happens across the world. The other day,
but you see, no one disagrees with you that you must teach Ugandans how to love their country. But
very good. So what's your point?
My point is, why are you compelling them through legislation and making it criminal? I'm saying here, Frank Tumwewa, the Minister for the Presidency, is saying, should you be found on the other side of being patriotic, there is a chance that you'll be imprisoned or fined heavily. In other words, the repercussions are disastrous. Why?
The thinking that the presidency is clear that all that is happening wrong in this country by citizens of this country is actually malnourishment of patriotism. You see, so some people naturally love their country and act so.
Yes.
Some could need the law, could need some little bit of nudging in order to be able to act in a patriotic way. Why should people destroy forests?
Absolutely.
Why should you be driving from Barara and you're throwing bottles, from your windscreen? It's because, certainly there is a need for a certain framework. There is a need for a certain guideline.
Why should you not obey traffic lights? Why should you jump queues?
You see,
and guess what, Morrison?
The other day you posted on Facebook, people knocking you with cars. I was looking, what is happening?
Absolutely, and I'm asking myself here. So, why do we have a government that's supposed to superintend over this, being the #1 culprit of failure to adhere to these very set rules that they put in place? When you have members of parliament who legislate largely for pecuniary reasons, I mean, there is no business that goes through that parliament. And this, I can say it without a fear of contradiction. Without money exchanging hands left, right, and center, you hear all sorts of allegations. So and so is braving so and so.
Of course.
You have got a government that is full of nothing but vultures, hyenas, and Dracula running a blood bank. How can you therefore expect ordinary citizens who should learn by example from you in government to be more patriotic than you in government who are supposed to be?
Because I think that is, first of all, I think that is sweeping generalization. We know some government workers and some government people who wake up every day to do things that are best for this country.
Mention one, I mention 100. Mention one good one, I mention 200.
But it is also true that there are some in the public service, who are not making things happen, who are not doing good things. So for you to sit here and generalize, I think it is disingenuous.
But I also find it
and by the way, it is really unfortunate. Where there is credit, let's give it.
You claim that this is a benchmark because many Ugandans have said it's only in Uganda where you have a law against patriotism. And I saw a post of you on Facebook where you say you know of a great superpower that has got a Patriots Act, and therefore you are asking, should patriotism be taught? And then you argue the same point you're making, others for some it comes naturally, for others they need to be stampeded and beaten into shape.
I didn't say beaten, I said
I am using my word to describe.
And I can tell you that my friend Sinja Kabumba was here on NTV and misquoted me and misrepresented me. I never said, in my post, I never talked about United States. But I also know some countries. Because
you
see,
mentioned a great superpower. Yeah. Which superpower is this?
You see, people like Kawumba are forgetting that we no longer live in a unipolar world where there is one superpower.
I'm sure
you go and
check.
A country like, for instance, a country like Japan has got their own patriotism. Go and check it out.
And guess what? Its government, the Japanese government, prime ministers in Japan would resign at the site of a train accident because they take full responsibility
but I can tell you,
failure to give
why?
their
Because
citizens
there is a law. There is a law.
No, but you see, in Uganda.
Did you get my point?
Wait a minute.
Yes.
So, are you saying when this patriotic law comes in place, and there's a huge corruption scandal, government officials or even the helm of government could resign simply because of this?
This is the ideal. If people are raised in this patriotic, because you see, even if you want to teach patriotism, what are the guidelines? What is the framework? You see, many people like Angelo are making very interesting arguments that maybe we need to package this. That maybe we need to package this as a national service, where every citizen of a certain age is compelled to go through a certain national service, either paid or non-paid. In Rwanda, they have made it broader. You have things like Umuganda. In Uganda, if we're going to have this and things like that happening, there is a need for a framework. It could be a law on how it is done. So this is a conversation.
Morrison,
we don't have a law in place. What is there is a conversation, and we want to encourage it.
Your conversation is extremely valid without a doubt. However, Ugandans find themselves in a situation where you have got a leadership, a country leadership that does not adhere to the very basics. You preach water, you sip wine.
That's a very subjective point of view, and you are not correct.
How can it be very subjective when we know that corruption has become the hallmark of the way this country is run? Is that a generalization, Morrison? Do you want us to go here and spend an entire day enumerating corruption scandals which have taken place in this country, and yet Ugandans remain watching without any remedy or remedial action being taken on these corruption officials? When Ugandans are driving on heavily potholed roads, when Ugandans cannot access basic medical services. Just yesterday we were having an interesting story of a national referral hospital now short of water simply because the government cannot pay water bills. I mean, to what extent can someone get patriotic when the government is negated on their own roads? And guess what, Morrison?
That corruption is real in this country and many other countries. It's true.
There is a small group of people.
Government taking action? Yes. Okay. Is it taking some quick action? There could be lazy and there, but I can tell you government is taking action.
See, Morrison,
but maybe patriotism and teaching of patriotism and believing in the country could be one of the long-term solutions. You see, for us Ugandans, we need quick fixes, but we are saying patriotism is actually an end product, that we do certain things to make sure that the generations that will come after us and the generations that are going to manage this country,
our children will be patriotic. That say, don't you think?
There must be
you as a teacher knows this, Morrison. Teaching takes different modes. There is teaching by listing out examples.
Do we need
also teaching by behavior.
But do we need a curriculum, for instance, that embeds patriotic practices?
But also,
can our children wake up?
Teaching can be done through showing example. To what extent are you, the teachers, showing the good example that ordinary citizens must take? I'll give an example. We have a small group of Ugandans. Now you call them elite. For all I care, people working in the corporate industry. These are people who diligently work tooth and nail and get taxed to the last coin. You talk to your friends who pay this thing called pay as you earn. They're a group of young people, few in number in this country, and they are subsidizing the cost of living of this bunch of peasants who are now seated by tarmac roads and enjoying the morning sun as it rises, doing nothing productive except reproduction with their wives. And at the end of the day, you want to compare a young man who has to wake up at 6 a.m. and perhaps sleep later in the night, going through the motions of life, support himself and the country, to become patriotic, when on the other hand you're busy idolizing and promoting peasantry, or people who are just simply sucking the blood out of this country.
No. You see, being patriotic and loving your country, what is wrong with that?
There is nothing
wrong with that. With even being compelled? What is wrong with that?
You're asking a very valid question.
Yeah, but that's not the point you're not making. That's the point that people like Kawumba and others are not making. What's wrong with being patriotic?
There is nothing
wrong
with
loving your country. But what's wrong with having a mechanism that would enhance
What's wrong with you in the government from loving your country? Because indeed, it must start with you. They say charity begins at home.
No, but what is a government? What is a government?
Are we going to go into
but I'm saying, government is
science 101? No. Come on, Morrison here. We are talking about
if a government is not patriotic, vote it out. You get my point? But the fact that you have voted it in, it means that it represents certain values that you do believe in. So because of that, work with it to make sure that you do things that are above self, that are in the interest of the country.
When the Ugandan football team, the Cranes, is playing any match,
yes,
Ugandans across the religious, political, height, color, creed divide,
yes,
rally behind their national team because it's flying the national colors and they support it tooth and nail. One, for two reasons. Perhaps they enjoy the football game, soccer game is right, enjoyable, but also it shows you the kind of unanimous and unilateral love people have for Uganda.
Yes.
On the other side, you find the Federation for Uganda Football Association, which is the government agency supposed to manage the goings on in football, failing to afford a team, a Ugandan football team of 11 members, a few substitutes, a coach and all that, the ability to go and perform their duties elsewhere. Do you know the amount of disappointment many Ugandans face when a government agency fails to honor their side of the bargain?
Then those
and that's
people,
something you the
then I can
with
tell
you.
you. I can tell you that then those people running that agency perhaps are not patriotic enough, and perhaps we need a mechanism that would compel them to do so. And the other point is that once you have that mechanism, once you have that framework, perhaps you can even find resources to invest in issues, to invest in programs that would enhance, that would accentuate that patriotism.
Morrison,
you see my point?
There is little to be.
So
There is little to trust you on.
No. If you don't have a framework, you do things haphazardly.
Morrison, I give you an example.
You know, that's how you're picking football. You're picking
this
things.
country is bedeviled by corruption, and Frank Tumwebaze mentions corruption as one of the key enemies of Uganda that Ugandans must confront with patriotism.
Yes.
This country
is correct.
And it's very correct. But this country is not short of anti-corruption agencies. You've got the IGG, you've got the DPP, you've got the Committee on Parliament specifically for corruption cases, you've got an anti-corruption code, you have got a CIID department of the police that is handling corruption issues, you have got talks about corruption, and yet
can I make this
corruption continues to increase.
What
I'm trying to simply put to you is that many times this country, this government is not short on mechanisms to avert certain evils. But the question is, what happens between the well and high-sounding, well-meaning interventions and the vice's progression?
Let me tell you
let
me tell you where the fault line is. The fault line actually is that you have this forest of laws, but this forest of laws are not backed by an institution, are not backed by the equal avalanche of demands from the population about their responsibilities. For example, let me give you a story.
So now it is back to we Ugandans for being subservient, for being undemanding.
No, it's a combination.
It's a combination. Governance, if people know the constitution,
if people know the constitution, if people know the law, then they will hold the officialdom. They will hold those responsible accountable. Let me give you an if people
you have disenfranchised this country, fragmented it, carried out, instead of patriotism, you have permeated what we call what's this word? I'm beginning to forget at this point. This whole thing, patronage. Instead of patriotism, you have mastered the art of patronage, which has in effect killed the social fabric and our ability to demand for services, to demand for better.
I can tell you that that's a subjective view. But listen to me, as a responsible citizen, Simon Kasiati.
I'm not here to give you
I'm telling you.
not giving my subjective views, because the people watching you have their subjective views, which you must turn around so that they have the same subjective view.
I can tell you, Simon Kasiati, that if I'm in my village and I pass by a school and I notice that the teacher is not there, I will go and ask a question. If I'm in the market, in Nyamayeje, in Rukunjiri, I find there a health worker. When I have just passed a health center that is closed, when as a taxpayer, I know that this nurse is supposed to be at the health center, and I don't demand action and I don't ask questions, then I am not doing my responsibilities as a citizen.
And when you ask questions, who listens to you?
I am
every day I meet bad-mannered, ill-looking, well-dressed policemen whose salary is paid from my sweat.
I can tell you, I was in Refugee some time back, and there was a tap open, and the city engineer was not working on it. I made a phone call to the district engineer. I said, what is happening? And the city engineer made a response. That was before. Then I was actually still just a farmer growing coffee, and I did that, and it happened. So citizens have got obligations. Citizens have got responsibilities. Government will not do everything. Government will not sweep under your bed. You see, you also need to take action. And I'm happy to say that you pay taxes. That's a very important obligation.
Matter of fact, most citizens have since negated this whole thing of country. They are looking at self. Am I able to work, live within my space, we have wonderful houses in bad neighborhoods, because I'm not responsible for my neighborhood.
And you have a house,
for example. Yes, what I have to do is put up my nice house, live in there with my little nuclear family, take my child to a very good school which I'm paying through the high nose, because I'm not going to be responsible for Nakasero Primary School, which was once a very good school that this country has run down. I have to ensure that I spare enough money to buy shock absorbers from Dubai to put into my Mercedes-Benz. Why? Because this government, which I pay taxes to, does not offer me a good road where my car should move. I have to ensure I hire goons from KK security to guard at my home because government doesn't offer me security. When my grandmother falls sick in the village, I have to come here and spend lots of money at IHK Nakasero Hospital because I cannot get proper treatment in Mulago, which lives on my taxes. So at the end of the day, Ugandans are slowly saying, okay, fine.
But when you are going home, you know yourself.
Wait a minute.
You know your children are safe. And this is a country that has given you opportunity.
Morrison,
you talked
we are
about
not safe.
and all those things. So
Morrison,
you have got opportunity in this country.
Morrison,
you don't live in the United States. You don't live in China.
Morrison, we are not safe because there is a policeman guarding my home.
No.
When there is a burglary in my neighborhood in Buya Upper Chinawataka, with the police station of Chinawataka 100 meters away from my home, it is easier for a squad flying from G4S to come and save me as opposed to the police station.
Do you know?
It is easier for an ambulance.
Do you know that in Africa, Kampala was voted the most secure city?
We provide security for ourselves.
You see?
We provide healthcare for ourselves. There is every little corner in Kororo has a little kindergarten of a world-class situation. Why? Because Ugandans have since given up on government education.
I think for me the point is,
there is a divide.
Can we do things as a country that would promote economic growth, such as people like Simon Kasiata and everybody has an opportunity. But you see, Simon,
I have been lucky.
This is work in progress.
Let me just share with you.
This is work in progress.
Morrison,
you see,
I have been lucky to be at the airport.
You want to jump
on
to the moon.
day when St. Andrew's story is reporting. Everybody that is anything in this town politically has their children studying in St. Andrew's story. Yet we have government schools which they are superintending over, rotting away in Uganda. But how unpatriotic can government officials be that they send all their children, those who are able to do something about this?
Can you mention names?
They know themselves. They know themselves.
So what if you are telling lies on TV?
Listen, tell me that I am wrong and so on. So do not put me on.
I don't know.
I refuse. Listen, when you fall sick, debilitatingly, there will be a chance that will be here making appeals. Government sending you to India for a transplant. Government officials are dying in foreign hospitals. Why? Because there is not enough in this country here.
I can tell you, challenges remain, but this is work in progress, and I can tell you that the government is seriously concerned, is seriously determined. And when you look at our budget architecture and the money that is being put in health and all these social services, it may not be enough, but the government is delivering on some milestones. And I can tell you, if you look over the years and look at the indicators, mothers dying from childbirth, that number has been going down. Some mothers still die. It is unfortunate. Children dying before the age of 5. That number has been reducing. So the indicators are pointing to the right direction.
Credit where it is not due.
But I am telling you,
most of these social services have been subsidized by the body corporate in this country.
Challenges
you
remain.
have got corporate institutions in this country, the big ones like
I think you're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing it. They go ahead and carry out corporate social responsibility and subsidize the work of government. Just the other day, ESCOM Uganda Limited offered...
Those are acts of patriotism, and those are very good things.
So government should negate their role. Ugandans come in and
subsidize when you go back home and give a bag of cement to your church, well, what's wrong with that?
We're not talking about a church, because this church is something about belief.
Or if you take a solar panel to a health center near your home, what's wrong with that?
So in other words,
if you're feeling good about it as a citizen of this country.
Wait a minute.
So I am saying
this patriotism law is now becoming the other side of government moving around with the local begging bowl.
Not at all.
Now we should go subsidize the cost of what you already do. You tax us.
Not at all.
You tax us to the marrow.
Yeah, but you see, people
use our taxes to do what you tax us for. If you tax us and use your money to buy extra Gulf streams to take your children to
if those Gulf streams can keep you safe and can keep our borders safe, well, what's wrong with that? That people can wake up every day, engage in their businesses without... And you see, security, by the way, is the bedrock of progress for any country. Unless we have that security, things cannot happen.
I think with regard to security, we are overhyping this.
So this
how
issue...
come the most lucrative business... How come the most lucrative business in this country is the provision of private security? I have a very good friend of mine here, Moses, who runs Pinnacle Security.
Yes.
The reason he would have done... He could have been a vendor, he could have chosen to sell maize, he could have chosen to rear cattle, he could have chosen to go into real estate. He chose to go into private security because that was the most lucrative. Why? This is an unsafe time where government has negated on issues of security, so private players can provide security.
Can I make a point? You see, when people get money or progress, they begin to change even their eating habits. If you've been eating chicken once a year, you find that every weekend you're actually eating chicken. So even in the United States, you hear people, some work with bouncers. I have seen politicians here working with bouncers, as a sign of either prestige or things like that. Others want private security with certain types of uniforms. So all those are signs of progress, and it happens in every country. But for the millions of Ugandans, 35 million, I can tell you that they sleep, they wake up, do engage in economic activities. I can tell you that we haven't reached the ideal situation where everybody is wealthy or prosperity for all, but I can tell you that's the direction that we are taking.
Looks like we'll need to have 2 lifetimes for us to arrive at the place where we are supposed to be arriving, according to Morrison here, who's promising Ugandans they arrive at Candy Mountain not so long from today, which could take us another several decades. But let's be back with Simon Says. Patriotism. Of course, without a doubt, there is no wrong in being patriotic, in loving your country, in having a sense of belonging. Just like, of course, there's nothing wrong with loving your heritage, being proud of who you are, what you are. Of course, there's nothing wrong. Let's take it at the domestic scene. Loving your father, loving your mother, loving your children, loving your wife, or whoever else your life touches, and whoever else touches your life. The question is, if you do not get reciprocal love, do you consider that a relationship you must stay in? A unilateral relationship where you love country and the country's leaders don't seem to love you? That you love your father, but your father doesn't provide for you? Do you think your children would love you if you never provided for them? I know for a fact that these things go hand in hand. You love somebody, they love you back, that becomes equilibrium. The moment one loves more than the other, there's a chance for imbalance. Now, as we go ahead and argue and push ourselves to the point of loving our country, I don't think that we Ugandans should have any holdbacks whatsoever to loving our country. However, you who run state affairs, you who are in government, you need to show us enough reason to love our country. Give us social services. That's not too much to ask. After all, you tax us to the marrow. Give us an amenity. Make us proud of being Ugandans. Do not make us the post child or the postcard impression of everything wrong in the world. When we achieve that on either side, then we can as well say we are patriotic. The question again as I conclude is, must there be a legislation to compel us to be patriotic? Must it be criminal when someone chooses out of their own volition that they don't love this country? I think people should be given a chance to choice. And this choice is not occasioned by anything else. It's because of the way they are treated or how they feel this country treats them. The moment we recognize that, then I think we'll have harmony and there will be no need for legislation on mundane issues such as love, affection, and so to speak, patriotism. Let's have a wonderful morning as we continue on NTV's Morning Show.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
First time we are musically speaking to celebrate, discover, and inspire.
Welcome to Jazz with Isaiah. A musical venture that is entertaining, educative, informative, and inspiring. Let's join Isaiah as we celebrate, we discover, and we encourage talent. And
we're gonna have a good time. I want you to be part of that process.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Let me tell you one thing, so we don't have Gilbert.
Will you shut your lips?
There
is something you need to know about Chris.
And that I'll find my corner, maybe tonight.
I don't want him anywhere near my baby. I don't want to see him. Just save it. Save it. Stop it. Just follow me. Go. That's what happened. Doctor, I don't get what you're saying.
This woman is trouble. She's going to.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
It's 12 after 8 o'clock, still at the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop, and boy oh boy, what a big story it was. Talking patriotism today. Do you love your country? And today is World Happy Day. So I guess for some of you who are annoyed right now, I think it's time to kind of, get over it and try and be happy. I'm always playing the Pharrell song, Said I'm Happy. Or you can sing the Sister Act, soundtrack, Oh Happy Day. Or Mafikizolo Happiness. Oh, there are so many songs that you should, play today. Add them on your playlist. But before the break, Morrison Wakakamba, who is a special presidential advisor, was chatting with Simon Kasiate on patriotism and whether it is something that we should be forced to do or something that, should come naturally. And we asked you on Facebook, on a scale of 1 to 10, how patriotic are you? Maybe we'll be sampling those comments and more later. But I caught someone saying on our Facebook page, what I have in mind is this, that instead of making patriotism a law, why don't they teach about being patriots for at least everyone to become, so that everyone is clear with it. And talking patriotism with officials who benefited from State House bursaries, yet they don't fall in the needy brackets. Indeed, it's a talk of patriotism. These government officials are not patriotic, and they are trying to instill in young one's patriotic spirit in the young, and that can't happen because if you're a thief, you can't stop your children from not stealing. So the government should first love this country before they give us the patriotism programs. All right, maybe I was going to sample those and more later, but before you head out of your office or home, take a look at the traffic update. Good morning. All right, 15 after 8, and a look at Chintu Road over there, and this is next to Kampala Serena Hotel. You can see the traffic is very steady. This road is one of really the most clear roads, I think, in the city. Very clear if you're accessing Nakumat or Jinja Road or National Theatre or the President's Office, the Twin Towers over there. If you're accessing Grand Imperial through Chintu Road, you can use that road. We have pictures coming in from Herbert in Bukoto over, and he brings us the Bukoto pictures around Kabira Country Club over there. All right, become a traffic reporter. Send that picture or a message to 0-716-730. That is 0-716-730. You can also Facebook that picture on our page Morning at NTV and tweet it at Morning at NTV. Later on the show, a sports segment with Isma and of course Everyday Life, something that concerns the family
But before we delve into that, Mabel is here with the birthdays on this World Happy Day.
Happy birthday to you,
Happy birthday today, and today is World Happy Day, so a very happy birthday to Jude Moko, who went to Queen of Apostles and studied in Nairobi, Kenya. Rodney Asa studied at Green Hill Academy. Happy birthday to you too, Rodney. And Julie Monica, who is a loan officer at Finham Solution Limited. Happy birthday, and keep happy as we celebrate International Happy Day today. Now, moving on to some of your Facebook messages. We asked earlier, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your patriotism level? And we have lots of comments here. Mulema Mukasa says 9.5. Belinda Mani says 3. Janet Flavia says 2. Sophie Shakira says 7 out of 10. Ivan says, I feel like slapping that guy in the face. Government is the most unpatriotic I have ever seen. Wafula Derio says, I just know that I love irrespective of any measures. Well, that's quite good. In Uganda, where people are forced to love their country, really? And someone says, I'm born patriotic without measure. Someone says 2 over mama. I wonder what that means. And Monica Nahabwe says, where graduates go unemployed after all the sacrifice they have gone through, it is hard. Faith, mine actually is in negative. Why should I love a country which doesn't love me? Aboki says, Morrison is a liar. How can the government turn on people who is I don't know, something, a bottle of water? Those who remove term limits are not patriotic. Corruption in prime ministers, that's not patriotic. Creation of ghost payrolls in public service, that's not patriotic. And I think he could go on and on. Olivia says she likes the way Simon was grilling Morrison. And then someone says, you're joking. I better start, I think, loving my girlfriend twice than loving a country like this. Twako 0 out of 10. And then Obik says, well, that point is I'm Ugandan. Must I be forced to love my country? And Maggie says, after hearing what that guy is saying, it has just died out completely. If that bill is passed, I guess I'll have to get another country for a peaceful stay instead of being forced to love something not worth the love. Bossman, really? Where is Uganda going? So you want to use that issue for the coming elections? It will not work. Do you know what is actually happening? And we have lots of other messages here. Lauren says, but how much does the country love its people? Because recently I didn't find any medication. Medicines are not there. So really that is unfortunate. And but now we return to Brian at the rooftop for the HTC moment.
We started with the goal of bringing the power of computing into the hands of people around the world. From the beginning, we were designing many of the world's first touch and wireless handheld devices. Reaching out to our partners and setting no limits on innovation, we produced one of the most popular touch experience devices of the time. We were building smartphones before the term smartphone even existed. We then set out to make the most versatile smartphones, including ones that let you use either a touchscreen or a keyboard. We saw the potential of 3G early on and introduced the world's first 3G Windows mobile smartphone. We changed the way you use your fingers. Based on our research into gestures, we gave you the intuitive and easy-to-use HTC Touch. We then announced a new way for you to experience the internet with the world's first Google Android smartphone. To give you the most personal experience, we introduced HTC Sense, a user experience that fundamentally changes the way you use your phone by making things work the way you expect them to. We once more revolutionized the industry by launching the world's first 4G Android smartphone. We integrated Beats audio into our phones to deliver the most authentic sound experience, enabling people to finally feel the music the way the artist intended. We created a one-of-a-kind phone with an amazing camera that outperforms most point-and-shoot varieties. Most recently, we once again set the industry ablaze with the new HTC One. Critics have hailed the new One with its full metal body design, a live home screen, photos that come to life, and dual frontal speakers as the best Android phone of the year. Curiosity and ingenuity have defined our history, and we're recognized by the industry as one of the world's most innovative brands. We've come a long way, but one thing hasn't changed. It's people like you that inspire us to create the most innovative products in a world that becomes more connected every day.
Everyday Life, powered by HTC, quietly brilliant. And for the past couple of about 6-7 weeks, we've been giving out phones. The HTC Desire 300 is officially sold out. So we are moving on to the next model, which is the HTC Desire 500. I've been telling you features about this phone for the whole week, and we drew last week. 2 people won the phone. We're going to draw more people tomorrow to win more phones. They'll probably walk out with the HTC Desire 500 or something, and we'll put up the questions. Remember, when you get those answers right, send them to 6565. We'll put you in a pool of over 500 people, and we'll do the draw live on TV, and you can be a winner. Elsie Moha, thank you so much that you are using your HTC Desire 300 to tweet and Facebook about this show. Yes, I wish the other winners would also do the same, but I also understand, I assume this phone is just, for lack of a better word, a beast. It's hard to navigate it. So please learn how to use it and start to Facebook and tweet for us. But also the phone comes with a manual, so you can check it out. For the rest of you, if you are not lucky to win this phone on the show, you can head over to the HTC Hub at Forest Mall in Lugogo and buy the various models. The HTC One Gold, there's the HTC Desire 600, 500, 300, 200. I think 200 is really the latest. Some of you bought those fast phones a long time ago, but they've stopped manufacturing them. The other models that were produced about 3-4 years ago, they've introduced a new brand of HTC that has actually nanotechnology. So if you're taking a picture or a selfie, I love selfies, and no one controls what you do. You can determine your own background. So those who love it, the nanotechnology guarantees you 64 times more than the pixel. So if your camera is 5 megapixel, do that. How many times that? 64 times 5. That's the quality of the picture that your phone will have. HTC Hub, Forest Mall. Tomorrow we are drawing and of course giving you questions for the next week so that you win these phones. Now, most of us have referred to boundaries as maybe setting a line where you stop and the other person starts. Yeah, and this morning we're going to look at setting healthy boundaries with your children. Does it spoil them? Does it discipline them? Does it help you as a parent to make sure that you raise responsible children? We'll find out in a couple of minutes on Everyday Life. Coming up, good morning.
It's the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing you see at night. It stresses you out. It calms you down. It helps you remember. It helps you forget. It keeps you connected. It's the only thing you own that is always within an arm's reach. Which is why you don't need to get a phone. You need a phone that gets you. And you. And you. And we are HTC.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
This morning, we've all grown up in houses where, there were 3 different types of discipline. There was a slap, there was a belt, and a whip. Other parents gave us an extra of the muzingonyo, or a sapatu, for bonuses. But also it raised the question of maybe as we were growing up, we didn't know our boundaries. Our parents never helped us understand where they stop and we begin, or where we begin and they stop. And this morning we're going to look at setting health boundaries in your family, more specifically for your children. And the person to help me with this is a very experienced mother of 4. Wow! Looking at you, someone can say, wow, watch. How did this happen?
How did I have kids?
How did you get 4? You're still young and...
I'm not quite young. I am of age.
Okay.
Yeah, but I had children the normal way. Do you want me to get into that too?
I will talk about that maybe next week. But I know you're super talented. You've traveled the world with doing music, and now you're teaching at the Kampala Music School. Yeah, what exactly do you teach there?
I teach voice, and then I also teach a children's program for kids to basically understand music, the music theory, and break it down so it's not all complicated, because sometimes it is complicated.
Right.
So breaking it down so that even a 3-year-old can understand that.
Right.
Yeah.
Marianne Mwase joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you so much for coming. I know you're very busy.
Thank you for having me.
Probably the Kampala Music School is like, those guys took our teacher this morning. But thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Boundaries is a very hard thing and very complex thing to understand. And most of the time we find ourselves drawing boundaries that control just our children. Not even us, the adults. What exactly is this, to put it really lightly?
I think boundaries are just, safety places. And boundaries are like rules or guidelines. And these are important, not just to children or in families, but even in a country. In a country that has no rules, it means people can do whatever they want to do. There is no, this is where you cross the line, right? I could wake up and say, you know what, today I don't feel like dressing up, so I'm going to walk on the street naked.
Yes.
There's boundaries for that. And boundaries are very important because it's what allows us to live together in harmony.
Awesome.
Yes.
Right. In this day-to-day, man, you set some rules for your family, your children. Those are my rights. Is the order of the day. Where do we parents get it wrong? Why do we fail to set boundaries for our children?
Actually, I don't think that all parents are not setting boundaries. I think that today we have three places, and there's 2 extremes in that. There is there's a type of parents who don't set any boundaries. They're kind of very child-centered parenting, and then we bring rise to self-centered children, and those kids that you call spoiled. Then there's the other extreme of authoritarian parents who are over-controlling, overbearing, yes. And then you have the child who just needs a break. You're like, give the child a breather.
Right.
Then, of course, we have those parents who actually get it right somehow, who find the middle place. Yeah.
Finding the middle place.
Finding the middle place.
Why do we even get it wrong? First of all,
Yes.
in the search to set the boundaries, things fall apart. Either the child abuses your boundaries or takes you for granted, or, like you said, there's no law.
Yeah.
What do we do wrong?
I think that number one, first of all, sometimes we do not even have boundaries. We do not have a standard. And some of us get
for ourselves?
Yeah, we don't have a standard that we live by. We don't have a moral standard. So how can we set standards for other people if we do not have a moral standard on lying, on dressing, on courtesy? How do we talk to people?
Right.
Or if we don't have a standard, how are we supposed to reproduce that in our children? Because children will kind of just go with the standard that we have set.
Right.
But if we don't live by our standard, then there's no standard.
Right.
Yeah. So first of all, we need to get a standard, and may I recommend the Bible as a good standard, because I have not found any other standard. Everything else that's not in the Bible is about me. It's about how do I feel. It's about do I feel like is truth relative? Can I tell a little white lie? Every other thing goes into relativity.
Now lying.
That skirt is short. It depends how you sit.
It depends on where you're
either
going.
short or not short. Yes, you understand. You're either lying or telling the truth.
Right.
So I think I want to recommend the Bible because it is the only system that is other oriented. That's about other people. It's not just about me or how I feel. It's about how about the other person.
Right.
And how about God.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Simple mistakes that we do. Yes, we don't have standards.
Yes.
Do we also misinterpret the boundaries that we set for our children?
No, sometimes I think we do a lot of firefighting. We communicate boundaries when we are trying to correct something. So a child is rude and you're like, do not be rude. But that's not the best time to talk about standards or boundaries, get a non-conflict time and talk to your children about some of the things you uphold as a family. Boundaries in a place when a child is not defensive or trying to defend their actions or listening. Whenever you firefight, the child thinks that rule applies to that time, and tomorrow he will do it again.
It's in the moment.
It's in the moment.
Right.
So make sure that you're talking about it. Be proactive. Don't be reactive. Don't be reacting all the time.
Right.
Proactive. Talk about these things. You know, the Bible says that train up a child in the way he should go. That means that we should be doing that and not in conflict time. Before that, every day, talk about the standards. Talk about something else. Doesn't mean you just bombard the child with all the boundaries one day. No, but bring it up one at a time, and every day talk about it. Talk about being courteous. Talk about being obedient. Talk about being kind. Talk about all those things, but in a non-conflict place. But that doesn't mean that you do not correct when a child actually does something wrong. Feel free to correct, but remember, back it up at another place. Then the other thing we tend to do a lot is we have a lot of do's and don'ts, and don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So we are so consumed with suppressing bad behavior that we do not encourage good behavior. If I'm telling you don't be rude, don't shout, then you're not telling me what should I do. We're always in the negative. Yes, what should I do? May I suggest that you say, we would like to talk about courtesy today. So how can we be courteous? Come from a positive place more than the negative place.
I'm told even for, for adults, if I keep saying, Marianne, don't do this. We always do it actually.
Yes. And then the other thing too that happens a lot with children, even in organizations, is that we never give them moral reason why. We never want to answer that question.
Don't ask me.
Yes, don't ask me. But you know, if a child does not understand why, then that moral is not there. That principle has not been ingrained. You want the child to understand, come from a place of understanding.
Also these days, man, you give a child a reason and they want to, debate with you and fight with you and quarrel and argue.
Not all
and
children.
You're like, man, just stop. That's
not all
it is.
children. Not all children. You need to, if you're going to talk about maybe being obedient, or maybe me looking at you in the eye when you talk to me. You know, the parents used to say, don't look away when I'm talking to you. But can you please understand me why I need to look at you? Because I can hear you. Just because I'm not listening to you doesn't mean I can't hear you. I can hear you. But so you know what? When you look at me, then I know that you respect me and that you're listening to me. Right. And then the child has the moral reason why. And about the kids, arguing and doing all those things, I think it begins with home. If you've not done it right at home, the child will do that. If you're allowing the child to talk back at you and do all those things, the child will continue to do that. So just give the moral reason why, and also remember to give the moral how. How do I do it? You tell a child you need to have self-control, because your child is very hot-headed. When he gets angry, he kind of wants to
short temper.
Yeah, but give him some coping mechanism, because you're not saying anger is bad. Anger is a good thing, but how you use that anger, that's a whole different thing. So teach the child. My child one of my children is actually very short-tempered. So I used to tell him, Arthur, walk away. Give him a way to cope. Then the other thing too is that we're very exasperating. Sometimes we have the parents who are on the other side of authoritarian. They're like, I said, you go to a hotel and you order for something, and it takes about 30 minutes or even more sometimes to get that order coming to your table. And then you want the kids to just sit still like that. Don't talk.
Be quiet.
Shh, be quiet.
We're
waiting for the food. Oh, because you're in public now, you want them to just be still like mannequins and just. But that's impossible, because they're children, and you have to differentiate when it's when a child is being foolish or it's being just childish.
I think I'm guilty about that, because even in church, you go there and you're like, oh my gosh, why did you bring this child here? The kid is all over the place, and you're like, you should have stayed home. So I blame the parents for doing that.
So may I suggest being creative about that? You know that the childish thing to do is to actually try to find something to do, because they have a lot of energy that they just need to put out. What I usually do with my kids is I bring some printouts, some coloring printouts, get them to sit down, and then they can color. And then it's a win-win. They're happy, I am listening to the sermon, right? Go to a hotel, give them something to color, or play a game with them. Or even kids love stories. Tell them a story, and you see how quiet and just well-behaved they'll be at a table. Because it's about respecting other people. You're in a hotel, so in a public place. It's about respecting the fact that there's other people in that place. So this is not home, this is not our space, so you can't just shout all over the place just because you're a child. No. So be realistic and try to find, walk in their shoes. When you walk in their shoes, then you're able to find creative ways to help them be able to stay within those boundaries.
Right.
Then the other thing sometimes is that, and this is really maybe the third last, is that we can be legalistic.
What's
and
that?
being legalistic is we do not put things in context. For example, let me give you an example. Is that you told Ryan is your son, and you told Ryan, get into your bed and leave the light off. But then in the middle of the night, his little brother falls off the bed. And so Ryan gets up, switches on the light. Now a legalistic parent is going to be like, I told you should not put on that light. Yada, yada, just go on. But I think that child did the right thing. Don't be legalistic. Put the principle in context. Are you actually upholding that principle in an appropriate time?
Right.
You understand?
Right.
If a child didn't listen to an adult, didn't obey an adult who was asking that child to touch them inappropriately, do you want to call that disobedience? You understand? Mm-hmm. Yes. So even moral principles need to be put in context.
Right.
Yes. And then the other thing, of course, as parents, we absolutely need to live by example. It's you know what? Do as I say, not as I do. Kids do not think like that. They actually will copy you. We reproduce ourselves. More than what they hear, it's what they see that they will learn. And that doesn't mean be perfect. It means that when you mess up, own up. Own up. Say, you know what? I'm sorry.
Doesn't that make you vulnerable as a parent?
And that's a good thing. That's being human, though.
Right.
I tell my kids, I'm like, you know what, Mommy, you shouted at me, and I'm like, I'm really sorry I shouted at you, and I'm like, I think I was angry, but that is no reason to shout at you. Shouting is not the way we should be talking to people, even when we're angry. We need to find a place where we're able to talk to people.
But you see, that can also, I think, for lack of a better word, and I don't know if you viewers relate. Can't it give the child a little bit of a kamanyiro? Because, man, Marian, you see kids that are literally insulting their parents in public.
Like I said, you're saying kids who have been raised in a very liberal environment. But when kids have boundaries in their homes, they know when it's time to talk, and they respect vulnerable parents. They respect parents who own up to their mistakes, who say, I'm sorry I shouted at you, I won't do it again. And because you're also teaching the child to do that, to take responsibility for what they do wrong. Right. And of course the other thing, and the last one, and a hard one, is to be consistent. Sometimes you just don't feel like doing it. You're like, you know what, if he wants to, let him just do. No, I would like to encourage you to be consistent, because when you're consistent, then it sticks. Right. And remember that just because children forget, we also forget. I'm a Christian, so there are many times I forget to do things that God has said in His Word. So I understand when they also forget. Kids need to be reminded, and that means that you're a constant person. You have a constant standard. You're not shifting because today you feel great. You feel like you have the energy to push through the principle. Then you're like, there is a principle. Then today you feel lazy. Then you're like, it doesn't matter. Don't say thank you or make excuses and say, oh, he's tired. He can't say thank you. We should be courteous, whether we're tired or not tired. Courtesy is just being courteous.
About two questions before I let you go. And if you're just joining us, we're with Marian Mwase, who is talking about setting boundaries, healthy boundaries with your children. Does it help? Have you tried it? You can share with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Morning at NTV is our Twitter handle, and Morning at NTV on Facebook. You can use the SMS platform too, 6565. And I don't know about you, but I am also learning. I'm learning this morning because there's something that makes it hard, I don't know, for parents to set boundaries where the child knows mommy is better. For me, mommy will deal with me. Mommy loves me. If Papa tells me don't do this, I'll go to mommy and I do it anyway. If Mama says no, I'll go to Papa and Papa says, it's okay. Does that also take away from whatever you're helping the child?
Absolutely. As parents, you need to have a united front. And I don't know, the Bible says that foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. It means that wickedness is in the... Kids can manipulate. It's amazing. It's like they have a school where they go to manipulate.
And even young kids, I see my son manipulating me, and I'm like, dude, I know what you're up to, but it won't happen.
But you need to stick with it. You need to stick with it, and you need to remember to always communicate principles between the two of you. Like I wanted to say that sometimes one of the problems we have as parents is that that kids just happen to us. Then one day we wake up, we get married, and the next day we have kids. We have no plan for it, nothing whatsoever. We have not thought out, what shall we do about the kids when they grow up? What standards are we going to live by? Will we allow them to do this? So
parents never discuss that.
They never discuss those things. Yes. You're discussing money, but you're not discussing your kids. You're not discussing your family values. May I recommend that you actually
What if when it comes to siblings, the child knows that they love Marianne more than Jane? They love James more than Brian. So let me do what I have to cast. It's already predetermined.
I hope that as a parent I never get to fall short in that way of having favorites in my family. I know that there is children who resonate more with your personality. You'll have a child who is just you, and you see that you're like, that child is just me. So you click, you kind of understand.
You guys understand each other.
However, at least personally, is that because I've raised my kids most of the time I'm with them, is that I've had to learn the other children who are more like my husband. And it's interesting.
And your husband is very also,
Yes, so you
cool guy and
yes, so I have a child who is absolutely cool. Yes. Then I have a child who is very straight. Let's study. Let's do this thing. That's me.
Right.
Yeah. So I've learned to appreciate the other one and be able to help him to know when it's time to be disciplined, and then also this one to tell him, loosen up a little bit, have some fun. Yeah, but may we not favor kids? It's not a good thing because kids can sense it. Yeah.
Right.
Although sometimes kids can be manipulating. They're like, why did you do this to that one? And you're like, you know what, that one is 9 years old, and sweetheart, you're 3 years old.
Yes.
Yeah, so no, you cannot have the same rights as a 9-year-old. You're 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, man, you know what, Marianne, I feel like I'm now at my home watching. And I'm not the person carrying out the interview. Maybe next time, and I'll try and pick your brain on this. We'll have you come and also talk about, stepchildren. And they know they are stepkids.
Yes.
And it does not go down well with them.
Yeah.
How do parents also help them in that? On Facebook, Judith Chimera, oh my gosh, Marianne is so enlightening. The show is just the best. Thank you. I'm enjoying the mother in studio. Thank you, NTV. All right, share with us your experiences. How do you set boundaries? Marianne, quickly before we go on, my producer is killing me on this one.
Yes.
What are those places that, basic places to set boundaries?
I think one of the places I want to talk to, especially with parents who have babies. You have babies living in your room all the time. You know what? The best time to set boundaries is when that child is young, like week 1, week 2. Get the child in their room as soon as they're able to actually sleep through the night and they won't disturb their siblings. Put the child in that room with the other kids. He'll be fine. If you need to check on that child, go check on that child. But that child is sleeping. He's okay. And then, of course, we have the 2-year-old, the one they call the terrible twos. Let me tell you, that's a brilliant time to set boundaries. Whining is not the way to talk.
Yes.
If your child thinks that he can just wake up and just cry because he wants to say that I am hungry, he's a 2-year-old. He probably can actually say something.
Yeah.
Say, I am not listening to you until you use your words. You say, John, you've got to use your words. And when he doesn't use his words, ignore him. Ignore him. And tell him, you know what? I'm not listening until you use your words. And he will. My kids do. I tell them, not listening. And then he comes.
They have to say food.
Yes, they have to say, may I have food? And when my 3-year-old is not being polite, I tell him, excuse me? How did you say that again? I'm like, say, may I please have some juice? Not, I want juice. Because that's a great thing to want. You're like, oh, great.
Yeah, then what?
Then what? Yes.
Marianne, I have to bring you back, I think, next week. This is awesome. I'll come to Kampala Music School and ask specifically for you. This is good stuff, but we're running out of time. Thank you so much, my dear, for coming. And say hi to Mr. Mwase. And Isma is standing by. Isma, Manchester United finally coming out of the dark and winning 3-0.
In the closing stages of last night's game at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Olympiacos, there were screams from inside the stadium from over 70,000 fans as they were singing, "Bring on Bayern." I'll tell you about how good Manchester United were last night, and also the separation between Andy Murray and Ivan Lendl, and the Europa League that comes up tonight.
Well, it's 15 on to 9. Stay with us. We'll be back with a sports update. Good morning.
Everyday Life was brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
Obonyumirwa ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, historic, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud! Suarez. Super Suarez. And that backs it up. Checo finds the net in spectacular style. Robert, penalty for Borussia Dortmund. And he scores.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna otereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
First time we are musically speaking to celebrate, discover, and inspire.
Welcome to Jazz with Isaiah. A musical venture that is entertaining, educative, informative, and inspiring. Let's join Isaiah as we celebrate, we discover, and we encourage talent. And
we're gonna have a good time. I want you to be part of that process.
Today is World Happy Day, and obviously we are very happy here at the Serena rooftop. And Mabel thinking that I can't sing. What do you mean?
No, you are singing. I just said I completed the song for you. You're telling us you saw the sun, the moon, the mountains, and the rivers. When you're doing
there are no mountains, but if you're in Chigezi, you understand.
I'm from Chigezi.
You can create them.
You know, actually, if only I could sing, and I'm a very bad musician. I've not even sung in my shower. I'd have been inside.
Who has never sung in their shower?
That's how poor I am. That's how poor I am. To the extent that when I was hearing Manchester United fans singing last night, bring on Bayern. And actually they sang that for the last
really?
Yeah, bring on Bayern.
Does Manchester know what it's asking for? Well, today is World Happy Day. You can choose to be happy today, or you can choose to, just be there and be sad.
Yeah.
But for some of us, we are choosing to be happy. So find someone today you can share that happiness with. And for us, we are doing it with you up to 9 o'clock. And this morning, Sports ISMA, the National Rally Championships, on this weekend in Jinja. Chikankane. Very popular name, Chikankane. Can his good fortune to the source of the Nile come? What will the competition be like for him also?
I think he should be having a wind in his step because he won in Imbarara, and rally drivers are very superstitious that in 5 of the last 6 years, the driver who wins in Imbarara goes on to be national rally champion. So he will arrive in Jinja knowing that he's one of the favorites. And looking at the way the 36 drivers that have entered, I think he has a very good chance. Still not just Mangat, the 2-time national rally champion for the past 2 years. So it's going to be about him and John Conster, who was this Clubman rally champion. And then there's going to be Ronald Sebuguzi, also hasn't done well in the rallies, but does well on day one.
But he's a good driver.
He's a very good driver. Yeah. And I actually expect him to win day one. That is on Saturday at the Jinja Agriculture Showground when the drivers got. And I've loved the fact that the organizers of the event have actually decided to add what I would call a salad to the entire competition. They're having a street bash on after day one. So everyone who goes to, and I was actually being told by an organizer yesterday that they don't want their fans who are coming from town to have to spend on hotels. So after watching the day one at 2 p.m. on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to being there.
They're going to block off that street?
Yeah, they're going to block off a street and then have a street bash on Saturday night, and then have the event continue on Sunday.
Maybe I should be in Jinja this weekend.
I promise you.
Wow.
I've actually carried my coins with me just to be able to afford the taxi fare there. But should be fun, should be fun. And for the drivers, another chance for Chikankane for me to edge closer to that nationality title. I think he has a good chance. You know, when you go out the season and start with the focus, with the kind of thing that Chikankane has right now, he should be looking at probably going to Jinja, posting some points, and then after that he'll be in there with a chance of winning the nationality title.
Right.
Okay, well, in tennis, Andy Murray, Britain's #1, parted company with his coach yesterday. Will this come back to haunt him?
Even for a sport like tennis, coaches are not probably heralded the same way they are in other sports, in rugby, in football, especially in the team sport, because as an individual, the success and failure on the court depends on you. Now, for Andy Murray, before he got Ivan Lendl to come and work with him, Andy Murray was the nearly man of tennis. He was the best player outside the 2 or 3 who used to win Grand Slam. He was the best player besides Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal. Then in the aftermath of losing in the 2012 Australian Open final, and I'm a big Andy Murray fan, I've got to say, Nadal first and Murray second. He was in tears because I lost to Djokovic. And actually I remember in his speech saying, the only thing that I feel so sorry about this final is that I'm not as good as you. And he cried repeatedly in that final on court. Wow. And after that, he went and signed Ivan Lendl. What happened after that? He went and won the gold at the London Olympics, beating Roger Federer in the final. He went on and won the US Open in 2012. And then a year later, that was last year, won Wimbledon. The first time in 77 years that Britain had won the British tournament there. So you've got to think that Andy Murray's rise from the nearly man to the Grand Slam champion is down to this Croat, his coach. So even for players who don't depend on coaches like tennis players, and I've seen Roger Federer win so many tournaments without any coach, probably for Andy Murray, the change in mentality is down to Ivan Lendl. What is he going to do after this? I think he's got to hire a coach. He's got to hire another coach, a good coach, especially to work on his mindset. For me, outside of Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer, Andy Murray could be the 4th best player. Right now, probably is now better than Roger Federer because Roger Federer has been on decline. But he does not have the same kind of mental toughness that Djokovic and Nadal have. And Lendl has had that kind of impact on his game. At the time when Djokovic is also going for after coach, because he signed Boris Becker as his coach earlier this year, it's got to be something that Andy Murray looks at. I'm not comfortable seeing him play and win another Grand Slam without having a coach on his side. And Ivan Lendl, for me, was the guy. Now he's parted company with him. I start to fear for Murray. At a time when he's suffering all these injuries, he struggled with his back since the end of last year. He has a problem with his elbow. Then the coach is leaving. Not a good time for Andy.
Not a good time. Well, certainly a good time for Manchester United last night, coming back from a 2-0 deficit. Wow. And you know, I've always said on this show that while Moyes is having his Manchester United is having its worst year in many years. They're beasts in Europe. They're like Liverpool.
Yeah.
Stoke City, makes them like KCCA, and then they go on to edge, teams out in Europe. 3-0. That was a great performance.
A great performance, and it's something that Manchester United are not conjured up in about 30 years, because the last time they came from 2 goals down to win a game in the Champions League was back in 1984 in the Cup Winners' Cup, I think. And even people could point to Roma, but that was United were trailing 2-1. Then they came and washed Roma in the second leg by 7 goals to 1. This ranks up very high up there, because especially with the situation David Moyes has been in, even after the first leg, I'm one of those who thought United could have it in their step to get this result. But then with the kind of performance they put up on Saturday against Liverpool, probably that faith was kind of waning. And to go and put up this kind of performance, that Robin Van Persie hat-trick is probably, he's had great occasion in his life. He's played in the World Cup final for Netherlands. This is as good as Van Persie.
Does this win silence? Because, Fox News carried out a poll and asked people, do you think he's fired? There's rumors of the board meeting to say we need to get this guy out. And probably Manchester United will suffer a lot of, more than £50 million by sacking him. But does this silence these loud noises that have come out recently?
I think it does. Every manager who is under pressure needs a good result. Even the managers who are fighting relegation, sometimes when they go and win 1 game or 2, the boardroom doesn't sit anymore. Everyone goes home and has their cup of tea.
Yeah.
Or most of them, the people in the boardroom are normally 60. They go and take their dogs for dog walking in the evening when the club is winning. And probably David Moyes will want this kind of thing. But for me, after this, it's got to be the kind that Moyes has got to repeat this kind of performance. Because for great clubs like Manchester United, you're not expected to have 1 good game every month. You're expected to win every game.
But they always come back somehow.
Yeah, they always come back, and that's the thing about Manchester United. But you couldn't write them off in this 1 game, but you could write them off in so many games. The moment Liverpool took the lead at Old Trafford, for example, on Sunday, and United were out of the game. Now, the thing is, it's got to have a repeat. United cannot bank on just getting 1 good performance every month. They've had several of these, the Crystal Palace, the Bayer Leverkusen early in the round, early in the Champions League, I think in November, when they went to Germany and won by 5 goals to 0. Now, why not have a repeat performance like this? Probably David Moyes will go and get his team selection wrong after this. Then thereafter, we'll all look back and say, that was just one thing. It was just 1 dream, and don't dream every time. Sometimes you dream like you slept in Serena, but actually you're in a something like that. So while United are waking up with this dream, Moyes has got to keep the dream. They've got to go and win games, especially now that mid next week they have an equally big game. Manchester City visit Old Trafford.
That's going to be huge. Well, I personally won't be surprised if Manchester actually, beat Bayern, because I promise you, I respect Manchester. In Europe, somehow they know how to
You respect Ferguson or Manchester United?
No, those players won
under. Can you separate the 2 things, Ferguson and the institution that is Manchester United? I think it's very hard.
They have the quality. Yeah. They have the quality to win.
That they do?
Yes.
But the quality hasn't come to the table this season.
Well, our team.
Dortmund, are they the 8th team now in the Champions League for the quarterfinals?
Yes, they did qualify, even if they lost.
How far will they go?
They lost to Zenit St. Petersburg last time, and that's been the problem for Dortmund. You cannot go on losing games at home. You give all the opposition confidence. But for a team that reached the Champions League final last year, and knowing like Manchester United, they don't have to compete for anything in the league, because Dortmund are way off Bayern Munich. Manchester United are way off the leaders because they are in 7th. Dortmund have got to think that this is the only competition they have to fight for. I still notice several weaknesses there backline, because Mats Hummels is out injured for the rest of the season. Rather, Neven Subot is out for the rest of the season. So he's got to still work out who plays with who at the back, Jurgen Klopp. And I saw probably last night is the best games that Socrates Papastathopoulos has had for Dortmund this season. But they've got to bring this again and again. And while for me the worry for Dortmund is they still lose games at home. This was unheard of in the years when they were doing well and got to the Champions League final last year. But they only have to play, they could say, our games, we only have 5 games at the end of the season. That is the 2 quarter-final games, the semi-final and the final. Right. Concentrate on those games, and then you could probably have something to salvage from a bad season.
Right. Well, Champions League, of course, still going on, and Isma will be talking, Arsenal signing most of the big players, Ramsey Cazorla, Zalalem, signing new contracts there, especially for Ramsey. I think it was a good thing for him to do. He'll be talking more of that and the Europa League late at 1:30 p.m. with Lumansi and Alan. And remember, Sports Bar coming to you live from the Club Silk every Monday, 10:30 p.m. District Edition in Masaka. Around to Masaka.
You're answering the question.
Eh? You know, they've already answered it. We've already got the winners. But District Edition is in Masaka this weekend. Abantu be Masaka, Yogera Nafe is coming to you live at Chirochari. Where is it going to be?
Nyendo, I think.
In Nyendo town. Miles Ramiti doing corner live there.
You know, and I did start in Masaka from Kako SS and St. Anne's College Itobu. So I was actually pleased to hear that. Yeah, I love, by the way, I love Nsenene. It's actually the biggest secret for my wife.
Right.
Be able to make Nsenene, you could be in the house for the next 30 years.
I'm very scared.
I'm lost.
Easy to please.
She has to know how to
delicacy.
She has to know how to prepare it.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
So you will be with her for the next 30 years.
So can you cook Nsenene? You guys. Alright, this is a Yoruba African proverb and it's so hilarious. Lack of money is lack of friends. If you have money at your disposal, every dog and goat will claim to be related to you.
Abego, it be true. Money now.
Please now, eh?
You don't have money.
You're the broke now. You're the broke, you'll be a rat.
Yeah.
Yes. Obviously, if you're a broke man, you're gone.
The lesser the number of friends you'll have.
Yes.
Yeah.
The more money, the more problems, I guess that's what they say.
But sometimes I don't believe that. How I wish I had that more money. There are so many things that wouldn't be a problem to me. There are so many things.
Well, the more money, the more problems, the more money.
Not more problems.
Yeah, and take that with you today. Make sure whatever you make, or you are all of a sudden they are related to you, go and check your bank account. Now, I want to do something different today, and probably it will jam Twitter. Can I have all the camera guys in here? Come on, come on. All the cameramen, come on. Nelson and your crew. Let me have the producer more.
NTV, turning on your world.
Smelling nice and being tough can go together. The freshness of fabric conditioner is now combined with the best ever stain removal of Omo. New Omo, best ever stain removal with fabric conditioner freshness.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase, so you can get emergency airtime and make that important call when you have to, and pay back with a small service fee the next time you recharge. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
This program is rated PG. It is suitable for children ages 8 and above, but parental guidance is advised as it might contain mild violence and mature situations.
Come to Los Angeles. The sun shines bright, the beaches are wide and inviting, and the orange grove stretches far as the eye can see. There are jobs aplenty, and land is cheap. Every working man can have his own house, and inside every house, a happy all-American family. You can have all this, and who knows, you could even be discovered. Become a movie star or at least see one. Life is good in Los Angeles. It's paradise on earth. That's what they tell you anyway. Because they're selling an image. They're selling it through movies, radio, and television. In the hit show Badge of Honor, the LA cops walk on water as they keep the city clean of crooks. Yep, you'd think this place was the Garden of Eden. But there's trouble in paradise. And his name is Meyer Harris Cohen, Mickey C to his fans, local LA color to the nth degree, and his #1 bodyguard, Johnny Stompanato. Mickey C's the head of organized crime in these parts. He runs dope, rackets, and prostitution. He kills 12 people a year. And the dapper little gent does it in style. And every time his picture's plastered on the front page, it's a black eye for the image of Los Angeles. Because how can organized crime exist in the city with the best police force in the world? Something has to be done, but nothing too original, because hey, this is Hollywood. What worked for Al Capone would work for the mixter.
Mr. Cohen, you're under arrest. Non-payment of federal income tax.
But all is not well. Sending Mickey up has created a vacuum, and it's only a matter of time before someone with balls of brass tries to fill it.
Remember, dear readers, you heard it here first. Off the record, on the QT, and very hush, hush.
You're like Santa Claus with that list, bud. Except everyone on it's been naughty.
Guy's been out of queue 2 weeks.
Leave it for later. We gotta pick up the rest of the booze and get it to the station.
Hollywood, this is 6 Adam 7. Have Central send a prowler to 4216 Evergreen. Parole violation, assault arising from a family dispute. We won't be here, but they'll see him.
No, you don't let me go. Quit your whining. Quit whining all the time. It makes me sick. Shut up!
Who in the hell are you? Ghost of Christmas Past. Did you dance with the man for a change?
What are you, some kind of smartass?
You'll be out in 1.5 years. I'll get cozy with your parole officer. You touch her again, I'll have you violated on a kitty raper beef. You know what they do to kitty rapers in Quentin. Got someplace you can go? Go get yourself fixed up.
Merry Christmas, huh?
Merry Christmas, man.
Let's go, bud. The guys will be waiting.
I'm not the girl who cares about.
What do you do on Badge of Honor, Jack?
I'm the technical advisor. I teach Brett Chase how to walk and talk like a cop.
Brett Chase doesn't walk and talk like you.
Well, that's because he's the television version. America isn't ready for the real me.
Is it true you're the one who arrested Bob Mitchum?
Mm-hmm.
These Badge of Honor guys like to pretend, but being the real thing must be a thrill.
Why don't you and I go someplace quiet? Because I'd love to give you the lowdown on Mitchum.
Big V. Jack Vincent.
Hey.
May I have this dance?
Of course. Karen, this is Sid Hutchins from Hush Hush Magazine.
Hello, Karen.
Hello yourself.
What's that about?
We did a piece last year on Janue Dykes in Hollywood. Her name got mentioned. Hey, Jackie boy. A friend of mine just sold some reefer to Matt Reynolds. He's tripping the life fantastic with Tammy Jordan.
Sorry, I lost you for a second, Sid.
Contract players, Metro. You pinch them, I do you up nice feature next issue. Plus usual 50 cash.
No, I need another 50. 2 20s for 2 patrolmen and a dime for the watch commander at Hollywood Station.
Jackie, it's Christmas.
No, it's not. It's felony possession of marijuana.
Actually, it's circulation 36,000 and climbing. There's no telling where this is gonna go. Radio, television. Once you whet the public's appetite for the truth, the sky's the limit.
Sergeant Ed Exley, son of the legendary Preston Exley. Must be a hard act to follow. Why not make a mark somewhere else? Why become a cop, Ed?
I like to help people.
We heard 2 officers were assaulted this evening. What do you think about that?
It goes with the job. But I took the report, and luckily they're okay.
Aren't you a little young to be watch commander?
It's only for tonight. The married men have Christmas Eve off. That's a good lead for the story. Sure.
Merry Christmas, Captain. Merry Christmas, sir.
Captain Smith.
Oh, drop the formalities, Bobby. It's Christmas Eve. Call me Dudley.
Dudley, I came up with a title for the story. I'm calling it Silent Night with the LAPD.
Oh, that's grand. Now remember, Bobby, that's Smith with an S.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Hold on there, lads. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
I saw the test results on the lieutenant's exam. First out of 23. What'll it be then? Patrol Division, Internal Affairs? What?
I was thinking Detective Bureau.
Edmund, you're a political animal. You have the eye for human weakness, but not the stomach.
You're wrong, sir.
Would you be willing to plant corroborative evidence on a suspect you knew to be guilty in order to ensure an indictment?
Dudley, we've been over this.
Yes or no, Edmund?
No.
Would you be willing to beat a confession out of a suspect you knew to be guilty?
No.
Would you be willing to shoot a hardened criminal in the back in order to offset the chance that some lawyer...
No.
Then, for the love of God, don't be a detective. Stick to assignments where you don't have to make those kind of choices.
Dudley, I know you mean well, but I don't need to do it the way you did. Or my father.
At least get rid of the glasses. I can't think of a single man in the Bureau who wears them.
If I ever get held up, you guys better be here.
Hiya, Nick. I need a delivery. A case each of gin, rum, scotch.
That sounds like a hell of a party, Lynn. I'll be right with you.
Here we know that Christmas will be green and bright, the sun to shine by day and all the stars at night. Melikilikimaka is a wise way to say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, officer.
That obvious, huh?
It's practically stamped on your forehead.
There you go, Whitey.
See what he wants, Buzz.
Hey, get lost, why don't you?
Down! Get your fucking head down.
I got a license for that. Cut me some slack. I used to be a cop.
Leland Meeks, never heard of you.
They call me Buzz.
I don't give a rat's ass what they call you. Now keep your head down and stay there, Buzz. You okay?
She's fine.
I'm not asking you, sir. Somebody hit you?
It's not what you think.
What is it then?
You got the wrong idea, mister. I'm fine.
But but it's nice to know you care.
Drive safely. What's going on? You know him? Yeah, I've seen him around. He used to be a cop.
They're sitting in the dark, goofing on the Christmas tree.
All right, put your camera right there. When I walk out, I'll stop right here. You get the movie premiere in the background.
I like it, I like it. The movie premiere pot bust.
When I walk out the door, do not want those goddamn floodlights of yours in my eyes.
Big V, consider it done. You hear that, Chip? All right, come on. Get down.
Freeze! Police!
Hold it.
Come on. Come on. Let's go.
I got my family coming out
It'll be
tomorrow.
a nice Christmas gift, won't it?
Hi, Tammy.
All right.
Hi, Matt.
Right over here. Just turn.
Hold it. Got it.
Right,
The movie
here we
premiere
go.
pot
Here you go.
bust.
Take care of them. Right down to Hollywood Station. I'll get the evidence.
Somebody wants you, somebody needs you. Christmas is a joy.
Fleur-de-lis.
It's Christmas Eve in the City of Angels. And while decent citizens sleep the sleep of the righteous, hopheads prowl for marijuana, not knowing that a man is coming to stop them. Celebrity crime stopper Jack Vincennes, scourge of grasshoppers and dope fiends everywhere. You like it, Jackie boy?
Yeah, subtle.
What took you, Stensland?
My partner stopped to help a damsel in distress. He's got his priorities all screwed up.
Up to your old tricks again, bud?
Bye.
Hey, Jack.
Hollywood Jack.
What brings you to our humble station house?
Hey, man, how are you, Harry?
Hey, what are you doing here?
Hey, you know me. I'm keeping the streets safe, boys. All right, take these two and get them dressed and book them.
Please don't, Jack. Party's upstairs.
Okay, I'll be right up. Next thing.
What's that for?
Well, you are watch commander tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, so?
Well, it's a gratuity from Hush Hush magazine, you know. Buy yourself a new pair of loafers.
No thanks, Jack. You keep your payoff. I'm not interested.
What the hell's this?
6'6". Mexicans, sir. The ones who assaulted Brown and Helenowski.
Yeah, I heard Helenowski lost 6 pints of blood and Brown's in a coma.
They're home with bruises and muscle pulls.
It's not what I heard.
Let's get these men booked and into the lockup.
Hey, Stat, you guys hear what those taco vendors did to Helenowski and Brown? Helenowski lost an eye, and they're reading Brown his last rites. Well, that ought to make for a very Merry Christmas for Helenowski and Brown.
Hey, guys. Guys. They brought the Mexicans in. They're downstairs.
Yeah, come on, guys, let's get him.
Hey, Stensland, the party's upstairs. This doesn't concern you. Come on, guys. Haven't you got work to do? Go back to the party. Hey, come on, it's Christmas. Help me out, all right?
Out of the way. Move it!
It's Christmas Eve. I've just got a few more questions for the kids.
You don't all have to be down here. Guys,
Hey, White, you better put a leash on your partner before he kills somebody.
Teach him a lesson! This is for ours, Pancho. Get him, Stance!
let me through.
Alone! He do nothing! What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Come on! What the? Shut up! Move! You're sick! You're gonna... Hey! Come on! Don't break it up! Come on! Get back! Come on, White! Stop, officer! That's an order! Hey! Get here! Yeah, all right! You're all going in my report. Let's go, actually.
Bloody Christmas. The press love to label.
Officer White, you should know this is bigger than the police board. The grand jury's convening. Indictments may be handed down. Will you testify?
No, sir, I won't.
District Attorney Lowe?
You and Officer Stensland brought the liquor to the station. Stensland was already drunk. So do you see how appearing as a voluntary witness against him could offset the damage that you've done to yourself?
Sir, I won't testify against my partner or anyone else.
This man is a disgrace.
You're badge and gun, officer. You're suspended from duty. Dismissed. Ed, we need police witnesses to offset the damage done to the department. I'm asking if...
Justice has to be served. Of course I'll testify.
I'm glad you feel that way, Edmund. Most of the men don't.
That's because they think silence and integrity are the same thing.
Not exactly the image of the new LAPD we're trying to create.
Welcome to Los Angeles, the city of the future. May I make a suggestion, sir?
By all means.
The public will expect the department to protect its own and sweep this under the carpet. Don't. Shift the guilt to men whose pensions are secured. Force them to retire. But somebody has to swing. So indict, try, and convict Richard Stensland and Bud White. Secure them jail time. The message will be very clear. This department, your new LAPD, will not tolerate officers who think they're above the law.
Dick Stensland is an embarrassment as a policeman. He's had rotten fitness reports from every CO he's ever served under. But Bud White is a valuable officer.
White's a mindless thug.
No, Edmund. He's just a man who can answer yes to those questions I've asked you from time to time.
The department and the public need role models. Clean-cut, forthright men the public can admire. Sergeant, I'll promote you to lieutenant. Effective immediately.
Detective Lieutenant.
Ed, you're 30. Your father didn't make lieutenant until he was 33.
I know that, sir. I also know that when he made lieutenant, it was as a detective. Well, before we start polishing our laurels, I think it would look better if we had a corroborative witness.
That won't be easy to come by. The men hate a still pigeon.
Jack Vincennes. He hit one of the Mexicans and he saw the whole thing.
A veteran like Vincennes might be willing to admit his own culpability, but he'd never rat out a fellow officer.
Jack's the technical advisor on Badge of Honor. He lives for it. That's the way to get to him.
I'd like you to observe, Ed. Call Sergeant Vincennes.
Bright kid.
You may well reap the benefit, Edmund. But are you truly prepared to be despised within the department?
Yes, sir, I am.
So be it. Well, Sergeant, we'll get right to it. 9 civilian witnesses have identified you as hitting Ezekiel Garcia.
But we have a stellar witness who will name names and also testify that you hit back, only after being hit.
And?
And you will testify against 3 officers who have already earned their pension and plead ignorance to questions directed at the other men.
No thanks, I'm not a snitch.
I'll guarantee a slap on the wrist. A brief suspension followed by a temporary transfer from narcotics to vice. When you transfer out of vice, you'll be back on the show.
The show?
Badge of Honor, Vincennes. We need to tone down your profile for a bit.
Jack, I doubt you've ever taken a stupid breath. Don't start now.
Okay, I'll do it.
The grand jury will hear your testimony tomorrow. Dismiss, Vincennes. And so it goes, Detective Lieutenant. Ace him at the grand jury tomorrow, son. Wear a smart-looking suit and ace him. And Ed, lose the glasses.
So you're the stellar witness. I should have known. What's the chief throwing you? Throwing me? Yeah, actually, what's the payoff?
You're the payoff expert. I'm just doing my duty.
Come on, you're playing an angle here, college boy, right? You're getting something out of this so you don't have to hobnob with rank-and-file cops who are gonna hate your guts for snitching. Well, if they're making you detective, watch out. Some bureau guys are gonna burn in this, and you're gonna end up working with friends of theirs.
What about you?
I'm snitching 3 old-timers who'll be fishing in Oregon this time next week. Next to you, I'm clean and smart.
Edmund J. Exit Chambers.
And remember, Bud White will fuck you for this if it takes him the rest of his life.
Well, Captain, what do you want?
Call me Dudley.
Dudley? What do you want?
Look, lad, I admire your refusal to testify and your loyalty to your partner. I admire you as a policeman, particularly your adherence to violence as a necessary adjunct to the job. And I'm most impressed with your punishment of women beaters. Do you hate them, Wendell?
What do you want?
They're yours. Go ahead, take them.
There's no goddamn bill on me.
4 of the witnesses recounted their testimony.
Why?
They had a change of heart.
What about Stensland?
Your partner's through. Departmental scapegoat on the chief's orders.
A year from his pension. Exley.
Exley made his play and got what he wanted. As a politician, he exceeds even myself. The department needs smart men like Exley. And direct men like you. Look, lad, I need you for an assignment the chiefs give me the go-ahead on. A duty few men are fit for, but you were born for. You'd be working out a homicide down at City Hall.
Homicide. Working cases.
Your talents lie elsewhere, Wendell. It's a muscle job. You'll do as I say and ask no questions. Do you follow my drift?
In Technicolor, sir.
Meet Tony Brancato and Anthony Trombino, 2 rising lieutenants in the Mickey Cohen rackets. With a dapper little gent in prison, who knows how far they'll go? The sky's the limit. Oh well.
Bye-bye, baby. Time to hit the road to dreamland. You're my baby. Dig in the land of night.
Meet Deuce Perkins, Mickey Cohen's narcotics lieutenant. Could he be behind the hits? Is he consolidating organized crime power? I suppose not. One thing's for sure, 2-man triggers are punching the tickets on the mixter's muscle.
Has finally crowed. Time to hit the road. What an angel. Bye-bye, baby.
Meanwhile, rumor has it the LAPD has set up a not-so-welcome wagon to dishearten the out-of-town criminal element from filling the void left by Mickey's absence. When I know more, dear readers, so will you. Off the record, on the QT, and very hush-hush.
With Mickey Cohen in prison, Los Angeles is organized crime-free. And the chief wants to keep it that way. Now in Cleveland, you're an organized crime associate in desperate needs of re-education in the ways of polite society.
I hear things. Like those 2-man shooter teams. Bang, bang, they're 86ing Mickey Cohen's lieutenants. Tell me, what do you want?
We want you to go home.
Picture book smut, gentlemen. There's been a bunch of it found at collateral crime scenes lately. Quality ranges from piss poor to very well done. Look who's back from suspension.
Here, Jack.
We're honored, Sergeant Jack.
Oh, look at that. The great jerk-off case of 1953.
Is someplace you'd rather be, Vincennes?
Yeah, working narcotics, looking for Mickey Cohen's missing H.
Yeah, finding 25 pounds of heroin would get you plenty of ink. Maybe you should have thought of that before bloody Christmas. Make a major case, Sergeant. It's the only way you're getting out of here. Dismissed, gentlemen.
Go get the facts, Jack. Just the facts.
Whatever you desire.
Hi, I'd like to get a delivery to Beverly Hills.
I don't think I know you.
Well, look, a friend of mine just gave me this number, and I just wanted to find out if there was... Ginger, you grab a reverse directory and shag a name and address for me, Crestview 2239.
Hush, off the record on the QT.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Sid. What do you got?
Number's not assigned, Sergeant.
Thanks, Ginger. A bootleg.
Take it easy.
Tough break, Stins.
Good man. We're gonna miss you around here.
Raw deal, Stensland.
Here comes the snitch.
Sorry about that, Lieutenant.
Stay out of trouble, bud.
I got a couple hours before I have to be at the Victory. Come on, I'll buy you a drink.
Rain check
Come
me,
on.
partner. Nah, I got a hot date.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Who is she and what did you arrest her for?
It's confidential. It's like that magazine that Vincennes scams for. Hush, hush. I'll see you later in the week. We'll do the town on me.
Yeah? I'll bring my wallet just in case.
See you tomorrow, Earl.
Hang on a minute. I'll walk down with you.
Punk kid. Who the hell is he trying to impress, huh?
Yeah, wonder.
Got yourself a real career going on.
Sergeant Williams, pick up, please. Sergeant Williams? Is there anybody up there in homicide? Anybody there?
Lieutenant Exley,
You got a homicide. Downtown Division, the Night Owl Coffee Shop.
I got it.
Sir, at least one person's dead. I stopped for coffee. The Night Owl's closed.
No one
It's
comes
never
through the front door. Understand?
Yes, sir.
I want barricades both ends of the street. Make sure the traffic doesn't...
Sir, I took the call. It's my case.
You don't want it, Edmund, and you can't have it.
I took the call.
It's mine. I'll make you my second in command.
Captain Smith, over here, please.
Back door! Nobody else inside.
Looks like the cook drew a handgun and set it off. The rest were killed in the men's room.
Sir, we got a total of 15 spent 12-gauge Remington shotgun shells. I'm betting 3 men, 5-shot capacity pumps, all of them emptying once.
Excuse me, sir. We got an ID on one of the victims. It's Dick Stenslin.
You know, when I first saw her, I thought she was Rita Hayworth.
Yeah, me too.
Hell of a way to avoid a prison sentence.
You tell me what happened.
Appears 3 men held up a coffee shop. The guy at the register pulled a .38, so they killed him. Then they took everyone else out back and killed them too.
Lieutenant, we're ready with that Night Owl ID.
Is this your daughter, Mrs. Lefferts?
I don't know.
We know this is difficult. Just take your time.
It seems like my Susan. But my Susan was a blonde, not a redhead.
When was the last time you saw her?
Just before Christmas. We fought. I didn't like her boyfriend.
Mrs. Lefferts, does your daughter have any distinguishing characteristics?
You got the wrong idea, mister. I'm fine.
She has a birthmark on her hip.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Lefferts.
Who's in charge of this investigation?
Captain Smith and myself. Why?
The Night Owl Massacre. Hyperbole aside, this is a heinous crime that requires swift resolution. 6 victims. One of them, one of our own, Dick Stenslin. As it happens, he was a Night Owl regular, in the wrong place at the wrong time. Robbery is the likely motive. We have rubber glove smears on the register, and preliminary forensics strongly tend towards a trio of shooters. We do have one hot lead, so listen well. 3 Negro juveniles were seen discharging shotguns last night in Griffith Park. A park ranger ID'd them as driving a 1948 to 1950 Mercury coupe, maroon in color. An hour ago, a canvassing crew turned up a news vendor who saw a maroon Merc coupe parked across from the Night Owl around 1 a.m. DMV has come up with a registration list of Merc coupes. 48 2-man teams will shake 3 names apiece. Interrogations will be led by Lieutenant Edmund Exley.
Enough on that. Gentlemen, just go out and get him. Use all necessary force. The people of Los Angeles demand it. Dismissed.
Right, let's go out. Come on, let's go out. Why not just put a bounty on him?
Okay. 1949.
You ready to roll, White?
You take him. I got something I gotta do.
Christ, I don't know. What if one of these names?
Get somebody else.
I got it written down.
Well, I got our assignments, Big B.
If we go by this list, we got about 0 chance of making this call ever. I got a guy who knows what's going on south of Jefferson. I'm betting he can put us at 50-50.
Jack, what are you doing? That's the same sort of thing that got you in trouble last time.
I'll take those odds. We got it from here.
Between the two of you guys, you should bring along a photographer.
I need an address on a customer of yours. Her name was Lynn.
That's all I got to go on?
Yeah. I think you already know who I mean, so cough it up.
There's a billing address and a delivery address.
Are you Pierce Patchett?
I am. Oh, are you soliciting for police charities? Last time you called at my office. Go on down to the driveway. We'll talk there. What can I do for you?
Where were you last night?
I was here hosting a party.
Tell me about Dick Stensman.
I don't know him. Mr.
Officer White. How about Sue Lefferts? You know her?
You know I do. You saw me with her. How did you find me?
Nick's Liquor. This is where Lynn Bracken's booze bills go.
Of course.
Sue Lefferts died at the Night Owl. I'm investigating.
Everything all right, Mr. Patchett?
Fine, Philip. Thank you.
What happened to the other guy? Buzz.
Buzz Meeks no longer works for me.
Lefferts looked beat up Christmas Eve, but didn't act it. How come?
I think she'd been hit in the face with a tennis racket. She was, big doubles fan.
You're a known associate of a woman killed in a mass murder. You want to go downtown and discuss this officially?
Is that what this is? Official? Somehow I have the feeling this is more personal with you, Mr. White. All right, then. Are you concerned about criminal matters peripheral to the Night Owl murders?
Not at the moment.
Then you wouldn't feel obligated to report them.
Why were Lefferts' eyes black?
I needed a Rita Hayworth to fill out my little studio.
A little studio?
Oh, there's Gardner, Russell, Monroe, Turner. Lynn Bracken is my Veronica Lake. I use girls that look like movie stars. Sometimes I employ a plastic surgeon. When the work had been done, that's when you saw us.
That's why her mother couldn't ID her. Jesus fucking Christ.
No, Mr. White, Pierce Morehouse Patchett. Now, I sense you're on your best behavior, but that's all I'm going to tell you. If you persist, I'll meet you with my attorney. Now, would you like Lynn Bracken's address? I don't think she knows anything.
I got her address.
Find Susan's killer, Mr. White. I'll give you a handsome reward. Whatever you desire.
Come on, I know you're not asleep.
You talking to me? What do you want?
My $5. It was the only one I had, and one corner was torn off.
Right now?
No,
Hey,
look, don't make me
dollface.
call the conductor.
Don't believe
Hand it
us
over
alone.
and forget
I
it.
understand. Okay, fine. Oh, baby. Bad news. You have to go.
Go?
Something very important has come up and you have to go, but I'll make it up to you, okay? I will, I promise. Excuse me.
Oh, I hope your friend owes you something.
Is it the cops?
Miss Bracken, I'm Officer White.
I've been expecting you, just not this soon. Pierce called. He told me what happened to Sue.
Everything all right, doll? Want me to get rid of him?
Hit the road, pal.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
LAPD shitbird, get the fuck out of here or I'll call your wife to come get you.
Well, I'm turning in.
Officer.
Councilman.
Let's call for breakfast.
Would you care for a drink?
Yeah, scotch. Straight.
I was friendly with Sue Lefferts, but we weren't friends. You know what I mean?
You sorry she's dead?
Of course I am. What kind of question is that? Do you know why Pierce is humoring you?
Use words like that, you might make me mad.
But do you know?
Yeah, I know. Patchett's running whores. Cut to look like movie stars. Judging by his address, probably something bigger on the side. He doesn't want any attention.
That's right. Our motives are selfish. So we're cooperating.
So cooperate, Miss Bracken. Why was Susan Lefferts at the Night Owl?
I don't know. I never heard of the Night Owl till today.
How did she meet Patchett?
Pierce meets people. Sue came on a bus with dreams of Hollywood, and this is how they turned out. Thanks to Pierce, we still get to act a little.
Tell me about Pierce.
He's waiting for you to mention money.
You want some advice, Miss Bracken?
It's Len.
Miss Bracken, don't ever try to fucking bribe me or threaten me, or I'll have you and Patchett and shit up to your ears.
I remember you from Christmas Eve. You have a thing for helping women, don't you, Officer White? Is that an integral part of your job?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
When they deserve it.
Did they deserve it today?
I'm not sure.
But you did it anyway.
Yeah. Just like the half-dozen guys you screwed today.
Well, actually, it was only 2. You're different, Officer White. You're the first man in 5 years who didn't tell me I looked like Veronica Lake inside of a minute.
You look better than Veronica Lake. Pierce Patchett.
He takes a cut of our earnings and invests it for us. Doesn't let us use narcotics, and he doesn't abuse us. Can your policeman's mentality grasp those contradictions?
He had you cut to look like Veronica Lake.
No. I'm really a brunette, but the rest is me. And that's all the news that's fit to print. It's nice meeting you, officer.
I'd like to see you again.
Are you asking me for a date or an appointment?
I don't know.
If you're asking me for a date, I should know your first name.
Forget I asked. It was a mistake.
Leonard Bidwell, come on down here and talk to us. How's it left these days?
What's it to you?
Oh, I saw you fight Kid Gavilan. I like your style.
What do you want, Mr. Policeman?
You got a brother up in Folsom, I know because I put him there.
Till 1970.
How'd you like to make it 1960? I know the judge, and Lieutenant Exley here is very good friends with the DA.
Yeah. We're looking for 3 colored guys who like to pop off shotguns. One of them owns a maroon Mercury coupe.
You want to give me a snitch jacket?
You want to buy your brother 10 years? It was 10 years, right?
Yeah, 10 years.
You don't have to say anything. Just look at this list. Now, come on.
He's bad, so I'll just tell you. Sugar Ray Collins drives a maroon 49 coupe. Beautiful ride. Don't know about shotguns, but he gets his thrills killing dogs. He is righteous trash.
Well, look at that. It's 5 minutes from here. Thanks, man.
So I'll hear from you, right? About my brother.
Keep it up, Lenny. Up. There it is. It's in the back.
One of ours.
Shit. Somebody beat us here.
Glasses.
You're kidding. Well, just don't shoot me.
What are you guys doing here?
Oh, we were just in the neighborhood. What do you got?
I got 3 12-gauge pumps, an empty box of double-aught buck, and some cash.
Ooh, so long, Vice. Badge of honor, here I come.
Quiet. I'm ranking officer here. We go as a team. End of story.
Yeah, right.
How many ways in?
Only one, up the stairs.
He's very serious.
Don't move. Hey, some Jack. Shut up, Rooney.
Anxious, aren't you, Carlisle?
Don't kill him.
Hey! Back.
Get off me!
Against the wall. Against the wall. Put your hands
Get
up.
over there, big boy. Come on. Shut up. Put your hands behind your back.
So, how's it feel getting out of the office?
That's what they told me.
Which one on the maroon coupe? The guy in room 1.
This just came out from forensics.
Burning clothes. Casitas youth camp.
Is Crowder in here white? These guys killed Stensland.
These guys are shooting.
Dining room 3's probably shooting.
They've all got record of yard.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they figure cancer.
Yeah, same. The ejection marks on the shells fired from the suspect's shotguns are identical to the marks on the shell casings found at the Night Owl. I want confessions, Edmund. A night's stewing ought to have softened them up.
Oh, I'll break them, sir.
Really?
Are you sure Golden Boy is up to the task, Cap?
Oh, I think you'd be surprised what the lad is capable of.
You're 22, aren't you, Ray? Did one of the officers work you over a little? So you're 22, right?
And why do you keep asking me that?
22 makes it a gas chamber bounce. You should have pulled his caper a couple of years ago. Get life, do a little youth authority jolt, transfer to Folsom, a big man. Get yourself a sissy.
Yeah, I don't truck with no sissies.
Lewis.
What?
You did the Casitas youth camp with Lewis, didn't you?
Well, why do you keep asking me about Lewis? I mean, his business is his business.
I heard you like to shoot dogs.
Dogs got no reason to live.
Oh? You feel the same way about people, too?
What you trying to say?
We got the shotguns, Ray.
I don't own no shotguns.
Why were you throwing clothes in the backyard incinerator?